Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. You want to get us on X at Robert J. Turbin, at Zig Sports Voice, at SiriusXM NFL. Pick up that discussion after the 2-minute drill.
I got the Philly team right now. I have Bernard, Maxey, and Embiid, and all these guys. I got the Warriors. I got all of that from the years ago. I got a plethora of guys, and all I got to do is be the point guard and deliver them the ball. When it comes down to it, at the end of the game, do the same thing. But if I got to go make a play, go make a play.
This is NFL Rewind. Here are your hosts, Zig Verkossi and Robert Turbin.
Caleb Williams, the young star quarterback of the Chicago Bears, thinking that he's the distributor compared to some of these super stacked NBA teams like the Sixers now with LeBron and the Warriors of recent vintage. Of course, Caleb, who, by the way, is looking quite lean, quite good, was on with Anthony Herron and Jeff Joniak at Bears camp on Friday. And Turbo, I think there's some validity to that point. Because, I've been following football for over 50 years. You played the game, and when you always think of the Chicago Bears, it's always been defense. Now, granted, of course, the great Walter Payton, some of these other maybe exceptions, Devin Hester offensively and special teams. But this is the first time I could ever remember in my lifetime with guys like Odunze, Burden, your tight ends of Loveland and Kmet, Swift coming out of the backfield. This may be the first time in my lifetime the Bears have been loaded with weapons offensively.
And a lot of guys that still have a lot to prove.
Yes.
The potential is certainly there, and you love the leadership that Caleb Williams has shown because it's such a great feeling, Zig. Like, when you come back from the off season, the summer, whatever it is, and you're dapping up guys in the locker room, and you can see, a guy might be a little bit more fit or slim or swole or whatever. He's like, man, you put in some work this off season. I remember one off season I came back with like a big, like a beard, nothing like you can do, Zig. Nothing look like Santa Claus, anything like that. And Richard Sherman was like, man, that's one of those workman beards right there. And he was right, because that dedicated my off season of real work, and I felt great. I felt great coming into camp, and that just provides this sort of spark, amongst everybody, right? There's an expectation and a level of accountability that's held amongst everybody, especially when you can see visibly the work that your quarterback has put in. But in terms of Rome Odunze and Luther Burden and some of these weapons that you're talking about, these guys got to prove it now. Yep. That they can be these consistent, dependable targets on Sundays for Caleb.
Revamped offensive line, Bradbury at center now. They had to bring him in when Dahlman retired. Tooney added to the mix as well. So where they go with this offensive line remains to be seen. I know Trapillo's coming off injury. They brought in Willis in the offseason, so Caleb's blind spot is going to be big. And then obviously with Bush coming in defensively as well, the brand new safeties, the first-round pick Thieneman and Kobe Bryant, they've got some work to do on the defensive side of the ball. The Lions, it looks as though they avoided a major injury. I reposted the clip. Dan Campbell just kept bragging about Alim McNeil Friday morning and, how he played through a knee injury and all this last year. And then the poor guy left practice the other day with what they thought was a neck injury, but apparently it's not as bad as originally posted. Boy, Detroit's had an awful lot of injuries, and for them, I think, Turbo, to get back
so here we go, first day.
A playoff
I thought we got really good working yesterday.
Year. They got to stay a whole lot healthier.
It was the last day without pads.
I don't know if they're closer
red
to
zone
transition
for us.
than they
got
are
quite a few
being
reps.
A contender. Where are you on the
so
Lions?
So we backed the reps down today.
Yeah, I think they're a contender.
Won't be on the field as long, but the intensity goes way up naturally with pads. So, man, this is good. I told
being a
the players last night. By the end of this week, this roster will begin to separate itself. So this is what we'll find out. We're about to get really four really good days of pads, and this is day one, just to kind of break them in for the other three.
To evolve.
Questions?
Practice and practice time, and
injuries of
how many hours you can be on the field at one time, and all those things. And when you come from
your rookie class, Blake Miller didn't do a lot of
way
team
of
yesterday,
doing
and then
things
obviously
like
Derek
Dan
Moore
Campbell, you can
just
find
updates on those
it
guys.
difficult to
Blake
balance
he'll roll today.
ensuring that you have a
we don't
tough
anticipate any issues.
and gritty team.
And he wanted to do more. We kind of held him back. Just got him some individual. So feel good about that. So we think he'll be okay for today.
Keeping guys healthy.
Rolder will be out for a while. Got a hamstring.
That you got a team that can play and finish games for 4 quarters.
Kitzelman will be out for a while.
Endure and overcome and play
Derek Moore,
injuries or discomfort.
We're hoping about 7 to 10 days
still
here. So, just kind of a minor strain, which is good news.
It's difficult.
It's unfortunate for all the rookies, though. These reps are valuable, man. You miss valuable time, but it also is what it is. So good news is that
there's no
like I say with Derek, it won't be too long.
Some really good
for
news
Rolder,
coming out
it's
of
a little
Green
unfortunate,
Bay
but at the same time, it's not a season ender, so that's good news.
The very good
great
young tight end,
Blake's
back at practice since coming off the ACL last November. I mean, this is less than a year here, Turbo, to what he was able to accomplish.
Well, there again, this is the first day of pads, so we like Blake. We feel like he's gotten a little bit better every day.
That's been one of the problems for Jordan Love and company.
Larry's played in this
overall
league.
Team staying healthy.
But now here we go. Now it's real,
expected to miss the first
so
portion
we
of the
can talk
season.
about how good
Green
somebody
Bay,
looks, how much better they get without pads on. Well, now the pads are on. So, anybody's got a shot. So we'll see what it looks like. My gut tells me that Blake's going to continue to grow.
The biggest question mark.
We'll see.
I know a lot of folks are unsure about Minnesota because the quarterback
it goes back to what I said. I mean, we're about to find out a lot now. So
I love Christian
that's good news
Watson
now.
And I think they have a good core.
Hank's been throwing miles out a little bit,
I think
Frazier,
a little bit unproven,
some of this tackle work, and it's early, but there's some good reps. There's some good reps. Look, he's played all the positions already in 4 days and some spring. Both guards, both tackles. So, which is another reason why we liked him, why we drafted him, because that's what he did at LSU. He's left tackle, he's left guard, he's right guard, he's right tackle, he's back to left guard. So.
And that's really the big question mark that
so our eyes are open for him, too.
Then let's get to the Minnesota Vikings, and, of course, the storyline there. Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy. This is going to be a different quarterback battle than others. McCarthy recently talked about
another position where
with the coach and Kyler on who
Rock's making plays. Conversations were great. We've been with Rock. We know what he's about. We know the way he competes. We got high hopes for Rakestraw too. And you see flashes with him, man. There's some good stuff. There's some just same thing, inconsistencies with him a little bit. But then I would say those are less and less every day, which is good news.
No, I mean, honestly, that's
Whiteside has made plays every day.
I'm really
special teams and on defense every day. All right, there's not been a day yet. We've had 4 practices where he has not made plays. So. This is about to get interesting.
Alec Lewis
it's going to be really interesting.
A standing job covering the Vikings for the Athletic.
Jameer out there just
apparently a former Cardinals coach is excited for Murray and the player that the Vikings could be rolling out as their starting quarterback this season.
Dorsey looks good.
The coach says, and I quote, I think you're about to see the best version of Kyler Murray, and I'm effing pissed.
We got a pretty good mix here, young players and some guys that have had experience. McCrary.
So look, I
mean, this thing,
we'll see. Good environment.
It's pretty exciting. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were back to.
No, I was just talking about Jameer. There's been a lot of talk, but just having him out there on the field yesterday.
Not mincing much words to think that, hey, maybe it wasn't all
I think it's good to see. You get a little work inside and to be able to come out and be around the guys. I think that's always going to be important.
Maybe he finds his footing.
Look, he's still part of us, and the guys, our players love him. We love him, and. He's a part of what we do. So, it's always good to see him.
We knew he was talented. He had an opportunity to play for my Oakland A's.
Cedric Wilson's
now,
kind of coming here and
Sacramento, but then going to Vegas.
Like maybe he has some chemistry with Teddy lingering from their overlap in Miami.
There's a lot of talent there. But it's the same thing that I mentioned with Fernando Mendoza.
Kind of surprised.
So,
what have you
we talked about how, man,
seen out of Cedric so far here these early practices from him?
Man, he's headsy. He's crafty. He's a different body type, a different type of receiver for us. You know, there's
so much pressure on him right away to try to bring the Cardinals
he's smooth.
into a position that Kurt Warner, quite frankly, had brought him into.
There's a little slither to him, you know.
And
he's a little slippery, and he's got really good body control. I mean, you saw the back shoulder catch in the back of the end zone. It was a hell of a throw by Teddy.
Now he's got to take some accountability.
Man, he just gets it. You know, he gets it.
But now he's in
there's nothing better than freaking vets, man. True pros that get it. They know how to go about their business, man. They come in here, they compete. They're not. They're not entitled. They just go work.
Excuses, but if a coach is defending him in that way, I think there's some truth there, and we should expect high things. You know, we should at least expect Kyler Murray to have some success with Minnesota this year.
You think that KOC should wait until the start of the regular season and name a starter, or have his QB1 by, say, maybe the second preseason game? How do you see that turning out?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a quarterback battle, you announce the starter when you're ready. So if you're convinced tomorrow that it's going to be Kyler Murray, then announce it tomorrow. If you're not convinced until, a week before week 1 of the regular season, then wait a week before week 1 of the regular season. But, I don't think that you should plan your announcement. Oh, we're going to wait till this time. No, you trust your gut.
When you're ready, right?
Yeah, trust your gut. When your gut says, we got our guy, announce it.
The Falcons, do they have their guy yet? Tua's been hindered with a bad back. Michael Penix Jr. coming off that ACL injury. And we go down to Atlanta at the top of the hour. Former Falcons quarterback and analyst on radio for the team, the great Dave Archer, joins us 4 o'clock Eastern here on Channel 88.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM.
Wrestling fans, for the first time ever, you can listen to coverage of WWE SummerSlam on Sirius XM. Join Booker T and Vic Joseph at 6 Eastern. They bring you all the action live from Minnesota exclusively on WWE Radio, Sirius XM Channel 156 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
We just started telling stories, and then we really didn't get almost any football. We got into NIL and Jackson State and Colorado, and how we almost drafted him in Baltimore, and that crazy scenario, and what a great job Shadour's done this since I've been here in terms of his development, and so it was good. It was part coach, part father, which is what it should be.
This is NFL Rewind. Here are your hosts, Zig Verkossi and Robert Turbin.
The voice of the new Browns head coach, Todd Monken, talking about when a certain Pro Football Hall of Famer who happens to have a son as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, Deion Sanders, showing up to Browns camp this week. Turbo, is this maybe a bigger deal than it needs to be, or is it just father visiting his son and, let's chat with the coach and see what he's thinking?
No, this is not a big deal at all. This is what former players do. Just so happens that, Prime's got a son on the team. But, we see it all around the league. Guys become broadcasters and guys become, front office personnel and whatever. They come to practice and,
Or they just want to visit if they're a former player, right?
Yeah. Sherm was at Seahawks practice the other day, took a picture with the young rookie Bud Clark.
Yes.
It happens all around the league. I go to Seahawks practice. I've been to the Cowboys just to, just say what's up to Shadi. He used to coach me when I was in Indy and at Seattle. It's just a thing that that former players do. So no big deal at all with that.
Situation there with the Cleveland Browns with the starting quarterback. We mentioned this a little bit earlier with the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell. What do the Browns need to do? Should they name their starter right away, or are we even having this competition because of the money and everything that he's owed? And by the way, if he happens to be healthy, Deshaun Watson finally gets back as the starter in Cleveland?
Well, I think this is another scenario where it may take a little bit more time than the scenario that we talked about in Minnesota, but
all right, what's happening? Good morning, everybody. Try to do something cool, man, and just kind of let XM take the show for the morning while I was gone running an errand real quick. And yeah, that was odd. Playing both audios. Video starts on its own. Dan starts talking on his own. I get out of the store and I can hear it, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, who's in my studio right now switching stuff? Right? I have no idea how that happened. But anyway, good morning. Welcome to the Rise Grad Morning Show. And, man, we are on to day 5 today. Day 5. I mean, the Lions have been practicing, obviously throughout the offseason, OTAs. We've seen a lot of transitions happening throughout the last, couple of days in camp. Players, starting to take a big leap. Some players are not taking a leap at all, and it's still early. But we got to get right into Dan Campbell. Let's get Dan Campbell done and finished. You guys have probably already listened to him. I haven't. And so let's get that done first, and let's get the day rolling.
Okay, pads. So here we go. First day. I thought we got really good work in yesterday. It was the last day without pads. Red zone for us, got quite a few reps. So we backed the reps down today. Won't be on the field as long, but the intensity goes way up naturally with pads. So man, this is good. I told the players last night that by the end of this week, this roster will begin to separate itself. So this is where we'll find out. We're about to get 4 really good days of pads. And this is day 1 just to kind of break them in for the other 3. Questions?
Start with injuries of I guess.
You moved.
Your rookie class, Blake Miller didn't do a lot of team yesterday.
Jesus, Dan is hyped this morning. You think he had a little caffeine? I'm glad we're hearing about Blake Miller right away. Let's get rolling.
And then obviously Derek Moore and Jimmy Rolder too.
Mm-hmm.
Just updates on those guys.
Blake he'll roll today. We don't anticipate any issues. And he wanted to do more. We kind of held him back. Just got him some individual, and so feel good about that. So we think he'll be okay for today. Rolder will be out for a while. Got a hamstring. Kitzelman will be out for a while. Derek Moore, we're hoping about 7 to 10 days here. So, just kind of a minor strain, which is good news. It's unfortunate for all the rookies, though. These reps are valuable, man. You miss valuable time, but it also is what it is. So, good news is that like I say with Derek, it won't be too long. For Rolder, it's a little unfortunate, but at the same time, it's not a season ender. So that's good news.
The right tackle spot. Blake's obviously taken most of the first team reps when healthy, and we all know what his future is. Does Larry Borum still have a shot to win that job? What does he have to do to win that job?
Well, there again, this is a first day of pads, so we like Blake. We feel like he's gotten a little bit better every day, and that's a good thing. Larry's played in this league. But now here we go. Now it's real, right? So we can talk about how good somebody looks, how much better they get without pads on. Well, now the pads are on. So, yeah, anybody's got a shot. So we'll see what it looks like. My gut tells me that Blake's going to continue to grow, but we'll see. It goes back to what I said. I mean, we're about to find out a lot now. So that's good news. Now, Hank's been throwing Miles out a little bit, Frazier, some of this tackle work, and it's early, but there's some good reps. There's some good reps. Look, he's played all the positions already in 4 days and some of spring. Both guards, both tackles. So, which is another reason why we liked him, why we drafted him, because that's what he did at LSU. He's left tackle, he's left guard, he's right tackle, he's back to left guard. So, our eyes are open for him too. I mean, don't sleep on him.
Man, where do you see things at that cornerback 2 spot right now? It seems like it's Rock Ya-Sin versus Ennis Rakestraw, but maybe Nick Whiteside has a shot to elevate himself there.
It's another position where, Rock's making plays. We've been with Rock. We know what he's about. We know the way he competes. We got high hopes for Rakestraw too, and you see flashes with him, man. There's some good stuff. There's some just same thing, inconsistencies with him a little bit. But then I would say those are less and less every day, which is good news. Whiteside has made plays every day. Every special teams and on defense, every day. All right, there has not been a day yet. We've had 4 practices where he has not made plays. So this is about to get interesting. It's going to be really interesting.
How cool was it to have, Jameer out there just actually in attendance support? I mean, he's been in attendance, but just on the field supporting his teammates yesterday.
Hold on one second. The other is Dorsey. Dorsey looks good. Dorsey's making plays too. I mean, that cornerback group is. We got a pretty good mix here, young players and some guys that have had experience. McCrary. So look, this thing, we'll see. I mean, it's pretty exciting. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were back to.
No, I was just talking about Jameer. There's been a lot of talk, but just having him out there on the field yesterday. Just what do you think that did for some of his teammates? Just seeing him out there a little bit yesterday.
I think it's good to see. You got a little work inside, and to be able to come out and be around the guys. I think that's always going to be important. Look, he's still part of us, and the guys, our players love him. We love him, and. He's a part of what we do. So, yeah, it's always good to see him.
Guys that make plays every day. Cedric Wilson's kind of come in here and popped, and seems like maybe he has some chemistry with Teddy lingering from their overlap in Miami. Veterans like that come into rosters every year and kind of surprise. What have you seen out of Cedric so far here in these early practices?
Man, he's headsy. He's crafty. He's a different body type, a different type of receiver for us. There's he's smooth. There's there's a little slither to him. He's a little slippery. And he's got really good body control. I mean, you saw the back shoulder catch in the back of the end zone. It was a hell of a throw by Teddy. But, man, he just gets it. He gets it. There's nothing better than freaking vets, man. True pros that get it. They know how to go about their business, man. They come in here, they compete. They're not entitled. They just go work, man. And that's what he does. And by the way, his special teams reps are pretty good too. I mean, for a receiver, he can do some stuff, and his tape says that too. So, like said.
Really quickly on what does he do on special teams? Like, what are some of his areas where he fits?
Well, I would say what we've seen right now is like some of the hold-up stuff, right? Even some of the cover stuff. So, I mean, where does he fit? We're just kind of in drill work right now, if that makes sense, man. It's a hold up, it's cover, so whether that's kickoff return, is that punt return, but just he's got a knack for getting to the ball, and he knows how to get in body position, block guys. I mean, he kind of gets it, and that's the essence of what our game is, man.
I came across an article. I guess the Bears are working on something at the end of half execution, not end of game execution. Is there anything situationally from last year that you have kind of are focusing on in this training camp that you really want to improve upon?
No, we're doing it all. I mean, we're hitting it all. We did end of half the other day before everything was done, and then yesterday was end of game, but different end of game, right? I mean, we haven't done this in a while. I love this. I think it's great, man. Your 4 minutes or just under 4 minutes, and it's tie game, or the offense is down 3. We're going to do another one of these later, and then we're going to match up, ones versus twos. 1-0 versus 2D, or 2 offense versus 1D, and so we're going to keep expanding this. We'll always have the 2 minute, like, here we go, 50 seconds left. Like, we'll get those in. But I think just all encompassing and and to really get true, like, here we go, man. It's like you saw what that was. The offense is down by 1, 4 minutes left. Both teams got 3 timeouts. Well, you're trying to finish the game. You're not giving the ball back, and you're going to finish the game. And defensively, you just got to get a stop here. So I just think those are great, man. The way that you handle it, manage it, but the way you call it, too, is important on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's tricky, It's tricky.
Fourth down execution, is there something that you it kind of took a little bit of a step back, I think, last year. I mean, is that something that you guys, anything?
I think you just continue to put them in that. We've done that, man. Since I've been here, we've stacked so many fourth downs in practice games. That'll always be what we do. And you just got to put your players in pressure positions and make them play. Make them play, make them compete, make them have composure. They need to feel it, right? And so we'll always continue to do that. The execution is make sure we've got the right call, as right as it can be for our players, the right setup, and then it's about execution, So, no, you just put in the work.
You got more fired up for first day pads as a player or now as a coach?
Oh, well, player. Because you get to do it. Now you're living through them. So, it's still fun, believe me. It is, but it's not the same because but you also know if you go out there, you're just going to break, You just break right in half. No.
Just how is Cade Mays settling in, and how are you continuing to like that fit in the middle of your
Yeah, I like it. He's settling in nice. I thought yesterday he had some really good reps. Just some things that showed up over the 2 days prior that Hank, coached him up on that he knew he could be a little bit better at. Man, I thought it showed up yesterday. That's good. His look, we're throwing a lot at him. He's got a lot on him. The mic points, all of those things, where we're going. We've got a lot of scheming right now. And then we've had this system in place for 4 years now. So it's a lot, and for golf, it's not a lot. For him, when you just walk in the door, there's a lot going on here. So, but I feel like he's handling it well. And I think every day he gets more and more comfortable. So I like it. I think he's a good fit for us. Okay.
All right. Great press conference this morning by Dan Campbell. Obviously, the injury concerns in that we'll break it all down here and talk about it. And let's zip out and zip back in. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from UperLights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit UperLights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from UperLights.com.
All right, we're going to stick with training camp news today, but before we do, make sure you guys check out CJMAutoDetailing.com. That is CJMAutoDetailing.com. If you want to get your vehicle, your boat, detailed, whether it's for the fall season, you're putting the boat away, or it's the rest of the summer and you want your car to look great, CJMAutoDetailing.com. Located in Byron Center, we serve about a 30 to 45-mile radius. They will come right to your work, right to your home, wherever you are, and get the job done on site. They bring every tool and everything they need to make your car shine. CJMAutoDetailing.com. Use code DFJ Sports in your checkout, and you will get a $25 discount today. We're going to be running this special throughout the next couple of months. So check them out. They do a wonderful job. I'll give you the quick and dirty. It's a 19-year-old entrepreneur who is a hockey player. He plays hockey in Alaska in the off season, really, for us. They go to Alaska in the fall time. And then he has a couple of partners that are going to be, staying behind doing the work throughout this fall. So check them out. It's a great way to support a young entrepreneur and get your vehicle cleaned. Like I said, last week I had Megan's done. Just to see how good they really were, and did a great job. So very impressed. Good kids, man. And I mean, 19 years old. I guess he's not a kid anymore, but what a great young entrepreneur already doing things for his future. He's not playing video games in his basement, right? He's not a keyboard warrior living in his mom's basement. He's doing things. Support the kid, man. He's a great kid, Caden. All right, let's talk about Dan Campbell today. And I guess the biggest reports that came out of today, I would like to know what those were for you. What was the most important news of the day? Let me know in the comments later in the chat right now. How do you feel about the injury situation? One, I'll start with Jimmy Rolder. I think it's great news that it's just a hammy. That's great news. Okay? He has DJ Reed there that has gone through it for his whole career and will be able to get that guy ready to go and tell him what he needs to do. If Jimmy Rolder hasn't already reached out to DJ Reed, he should. Right? He should. Because obviously DJ Reed just went through it again this offseason, did a lot of different treatments and said that he's felt the best he's ever felt, gained some speed, gained some strength, and it's showing up. All right, it's showing up on the football field. DJ Reed's been making plays every day. So that even though it's not great that he's out for several weeks, that still leans into what could be, back week 1, maybe even into the preseason if he heals up quickly. But typically a hamstring is about 6 weeks. And if you push it, it can linger all season. So I don't think the Lions are going to push it. I think they're going to let him heal and heal right. And the expectation is that he can get back for the season and hopefully play some meaningful games and get some meaningful snaps. Losing the balance or potential balance of training camp, obviously that's not good for any rookie. And Dan Campbell mentioned that too, that the snap load right now, their share of it is so important. So let's hope that Jimmy Rolder gets healed up soon. Derek Moore. So Derek Moore, another great bit of news here on his injury. 7 to 10 days is what I heard Dan Campbell is considering here that Derek Moore will be out. I didn't hear an update on the exact injury. It was a lower leg injury when he exited practice yesterday. As I remember, a groin injury somewhere in that vicinity. If, in fact, it is just a groin injury and it's 7 to 10 days, that's phenomenal. Right? If it's anything worse than that, that could also linger. But that's good news. It's a good starting point. It means that he should be back playing some meaningful snaps for the rest of training camp and into the preseason. Next up, he talked about Miller. And so yesterday there was a conflicting report that came out by another publication saying that, Miller was taking some meaningful snaps, and the snaps between him and Borum, there's direct things that you could kind of correlate between the two. Miller wasn't practicing yesterday. He did some individual stuff. That was about it. He didn't take any one-on-ones. He didn't take any 7-on-7s, any 11-on-11s. He didn't go up against Aiden Hutchinson at all, period. So I'm more inclined to see where he grows next. Obviously, Miller's been taking big steps, but pads on today. I didn't hear if Dan said that he's going to be out there, running the full practice with Miller, or if Miller was going to be limited today. I missed that part of it. I was making some notes. I'll go back and listen later, but if you heard it, let me know in the chat. If he said that Miller was going to be out there in full pads, running the full practice today, I think that's going to be beneficial for all of us to understand where Miller is, because this is when Aiden is going to be able to put his tricks together. Aiden's been growing every year, Aiden Hutchinson. He's been growing every single season. His pass rush technique has been getting better and better and better and better. The inside counter that he's really developed is what took Miller to the woodshed early in training camp. No pads, first couple of days, welcome to the NFL. Now it's the new welcome to the NFL with the pads on. So it'd be interesting to see where Miller develops over the next couple of days. Like I said, I'm more inclined to watch Miller grow with the pads on than pads off. Like this is where the work really is the most meaningful, is training camp with the pads on. Frazier. So yesterday I spotted Frazier at the right tackle position. I was a little bit blown away that he was out there, but it was a necessary thing too. Hank Fraley's been getting him down there, as Dan Campbell mentioned, getting some action at right tackle, and said clearly, hey, you can't just write Frazier off right now. Now Frazier's going to battle too. That doesn't mean he's going to battle for a right tackle spot as a starting spot. I couldn't see that happening. But he might end up as a, one of the primary reserve, primary backups. I do have Frazier making this roster right now. I think the Lions are probably going to keep 9, maybe 10 offensive linemen. It seems like every year we've had, injuries to the offensive line, and why not go a little bit heavier? Keep some of the younger guys on the roster, any of the older guys that you can stash on the practice squad as a vet. That would be great. As long as they take care of them contractually and put them on the practice squad, I think they'll be fine. So I think that Frazier still has a great chance of making this roster, and he's a big man. Like yesterday, there's a difference between Frazier and Mahogany. Mahogany is more wide and stout, and Frazier's a little bit taller and still massive. He's a massive human, but he played well yesterday. Whiteside, look, I'm not surprised by Whiteside. He's been doing this, since like OTAs. He's really stood out. And when they had minicamp, he really popped. And so now Whiteside is making plays all over the field. Yesterday, I don't think I commented on him a whole lot last night, but yesterday he was making plays everywhere. And Dan Campbell just mentioned that. All phases of the game, Nick Whiteside is taking a huge step up. He also came back and mentioned Khalil Dorsey taking a step up. I think that this room is probably going to get 10, 11 guys overall in the secondary between safeties and DBs. I think you're going to have 10, 11 guys that will make the roster. And that means it's going to be pretty slim, for guys like Whiteside to make this roster. But right now, between Whiteside, Rakestraw, and Yasin, I agreed with Dan Campbell 100% that Rakestraw's biggest thing was the consistency. He's making great plays. He's staying sticky. He's playing everybody tight. He's still allowing some pretty tough catches, contested catches, and that's all you can expect when you're going up against guys like Jamison Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown. He should be able to beat Isaac Tesla early in his career, but I think that those two, whenever they do get an opportunity to go up against each other, I think it's going to be a great battle. Excited to see Whiteside grow. Rakestraw, I have him as the number 2. You got to remember, this is his first real full season, right? He made it through OTAs. He made it through the offseason program, made it through minicamps. He's now entered training camp, still healthy, still playing good. He's in the best shape of his life, as reported. And now he needs to take those next few steps of growth. Has to learn the new scheme, the new installations, whatever the defense is installing. He has to be able to get it right away and run with it. Yasin has a huge, opportunity above and beyond Rakestraw because of his veteran presence, right? And I think that he brings a lot more to this team with his aggressive style. Yesterday, like I said during practice, there was at least 2 flags on Yasin. Now, last year, during the regular season, when he did start, I don't know that Yasin had but 2 flags, and I think both of them were highly controversial. I know one of them was, and I don't remember the play now, but I remember one of them was highly controversial. I think that was the Kansas City game, honestly. I think it was the Kansas City game, and it was against Travis Kelce, was it not? And that was a highly controversial flag. And that might have been one of the only major ones that he had all season. I could be wrong. Going by memory here. I don't have the stats in front of me. But I think that Yasin's aggressive style, his leadership, obviously the veteranness to him, he's going to have a much easier way of learning the system for, compared to a young guy like Rakestraw that is just trying to get his feet underneath him in his 3rd year. But man, is he playing well. Could you honestly imagine Brad double dips in 24? Had Rakestraw stayed healthy, where would he be right now? How much better could he really be today? And I think that the answer is exponentially better. So it was a great pick. I think that Brad has done an excellent job. Yeah, you can't do anything about injuries. They're going to happen. It's freaking football, right? But at the end of the day, when you're now getting a real opportunity to evaluate these players, all of them are good. Every single one of them. Just because they have injuries doesn't mean anything. And I'm not trying to, start crap with U of M fans, but I'm just going to say it. For all the people out there that are talking crap about Brad Holmes and injuries and bringing in these injured players, well, guess what? Both of your U of M guys, all three of your U of M guys that are on this team have all suffered injuries. Aiden suffered the worst out of anybody. And now Jimmy Rolder and Moore have suffered injuries a few days into camp. So I think that if you're going to say that Brad is going out there and looking to find guys that are injury prone, I guess U of M players are injury prone, right? It's a silly statement. I'm just being facetious here. So, I think that it's time to chuck back your own cough medicine and realize for the people out there that are just talking crap to talk crap because they really don't know what the hell's going on. Look, football's football, man. People are going to get hurt. It's a game. It's 100% injury. 100%. And so the fact that, I don't care what school you've gone to, I just made the point because now we've got all these Michigan guys that you're thinking are going to save the day. They're injured. Aiden's healthy, but you know what I'm saying. So it doesn't matter what school you come from. It doesn't matter what round you're drafted in. None of that matters. What matters is that injuries are going to happen. And hopefully they're not too bad, right? That's what you just got to hope for. And so far, they're getting pretty lucky, right? Lee McNeil's back. He's good. He evaded a major injury. Cedric Wilson. I love the word true vet out of Dan Campbell, and he's mentioned the vets a couple of times this offseason so far. He has his highest trust in his vet squad, the guys that make the practice squad as vets, because those guys really need to give a solid practice. As a scout team or anything else, you have to really give a solid practice to the starters and even the second team guys. Without having solid vets, solid vet backups, a solid third team, that really is relegated to your practice squad when cuts happen, those guys are so important to expanding what, the first team and second team can do and how they can develop. So I really like this statement about Cedric Wilson. Honestly, I don't know enough about Cedric Wilson. I'm going to dig in later on today and see what I can't learn. I don't understand the Bears question. Like, why do we give two flying shits of what the Bears are doing, in end of game? Dan does it all. They do it all every year. And yesterday was all red zone, right? And they did, I think they did end of half yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So they done plenty. Yesterday, there was shots fired at Cade Mays from some fans. I think it was on Tim Brandon's X, but someone had said that Cade Mays was terrible, that he's no good. Same individuals are saying that Devin White's terrible and he's no good. And I'm going to talk about both those guys today because Cade Mays. Well, first let me set the groundwork. You're all pro centers in the NFL. They typically give up about 12 pressures a year, maybe a sack or two at the most, preferably none. But your all-pro guys are generally not giving up sacks, maybe one, 10 to 12 pressures a year. Cade Mays, I'm trying to go by memory here. Let me see if I can pull it up on my X. Cade Mays, 20 games, 0 sacks, 14 pressures in 20 games. So it's 3 more than a whole season. Now remember, in one season for an all-pro, if they're giving up on average about 12 pressures, he had 14 in 20 games in 0 sacks. How is it that Cade Mays is no good? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. That fans are thinking that Cade Mays is not a good player. He might be a top 5 center in the league by the time Hank Fraley's done with him. And even though Frank Ragnow is a pretty, that's a pretty high bar, right? We're never going to have Frank Ragnow again. But that's not what you're looking for out of Cade Mays. You're looking for Cade Mays to do the things that he does well. You're looking for him to control the run game. You're looking for him to make sure that Jared Goff is clean, right? That's the most important position through the center of the offensive line, where the defense can really create some problems for Jared Goff. And that's what happened last year at times, that Jared Goff was off his spot many times because we were getting too much pressure through the A gaps and the B gaps at time, but the A gaps primarily is where Jared Goff struggles the most. And so does every other quarterback. But Cade Mays has absolutely played incredibly well over the last 20 games of one, learning the center position and playing to an extremely high level. Let's talk about Devin White here for a moment. Look, I understand that Devin White had, a pretty rough 24, and it didn't go the way that he wanted it, right? I don't think any player wants to deal with, having a down year. But yesterday, I put this out in the DFJ Sports Twitter. I said, for all the haters of Devin White, he had better stats than Jack Campbell last year. And Jack Campbell's an all-pro. And he had better stats in every category but sacks. Now, I also said that I have not evaluated all the efficiencies or the other analytics yet, but the ones that matter, at least, at the tip of the spear here, is that you look at the combined tackles that he had, 174. They were even saying that there's no way Devin White had that many tackles. Well, I have access to the, credentialed media, NFL, GSIS stats. That is the official stats. So I logged in and I looked at it. Devin White, 95 tackles solo, 79 tackles assisted, combined 174. 2.5 sacks, 11 TFLs. Jack Campbell, he had 85 solo tackles, so 10 less. He had 81 assisted, so 2 more, for a combined 166. So he had 8 less tackles than Devin White. Devin White played in every game. Devin White played in 99.4% of the snaps, just like Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell had 5 sacks to his 2.5, and Jack Campbell had 9 TFLs to his 11. So you tell me how Devin White is no good. You don't just have that many sacks and play that well because you suck, right? That just doesn't even make any sense at all. I don't understand why fans, this fan base that is just so unquenchable at times, just talks crap for no reason. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's like they just want to start fires. They want to start problems. They want rage bait, whatever it is. They want clicks. Whatever. Why can't we just have smart, intelligent conversations about what the facts are and what these players have done? Now, am I saying that Devin White played perfectly? No. Am I saying that he's better than Jack Campbell? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is he went into, the Raiders organization, new team, learned a new system, and then played every game, damn near every snap. And completely and separately was probably the best player on the defense outside of Max Crosby when Max Crosby was there. Or playing before he was, injured. If Devin White comes into this team, which I really appreciated his statement the other day. His statement was, I'm not out here hunting for a starting job. My goal, I'm paraphrasing, his goal was to just come in and learn the system. Then he can worry about the rest. And I think that if Devin White is somehow a backup, that's one of the best backups you're going to have in the league. Vet, understands it, played at an extremely high level last year, and is now coming into a defense that he doesn't have to be the only guy. Kind of like the situation with Las Vegas. He was one of the only guys on the defense last year. Very few compared to what this team has. You look around this Lions defense, and it is star-studded, and you got ascending players. And if Branch and Kirby get back on the field, or let me say it again, when Branch and Kirby get back on the field, Devin White ain't got to worry about what's behind him. He only has to worry about what's in front of him. And that is a great place to play. And I think for all of the Lions defensive players, they can play with their hair, totally let down and on fire. And that's the way that Dan Campbell wants them to play anyway. All right, let's do a quick recap. That's my breakdown of Dan Campbell's press conference today. let's do a quick recap of what we've learned so far throughout training camp. We'll be right back.
The season is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to SportsSpider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit SportsSpider.com today, right after the show.
All right, so I do want to pull up. The Vegas Raiders depth chart from last year. I'm curious. Let me go all the way back to. If you guys don't use our lads, like it is super inexpensive. To get their annual subscription. I don't know, it's like $30 maybe. But you get all of the archived rosters that they have, and they may not be totally accurate. I probably can get the same thing in other ways through the GSIS, I assume. I haven't spent enough time on the GSIS. But let's just go back to October of 25. And let's see who's on. Let's see who's on this defense. So, of course, they had Max Crosby. They had Adam Butler as their left defensive tackle. They had Thomas Booker, the fourth, as their right defensive tackle. Malcolm Kuntz at right defensive end. Jermaine Pratt at the will. Devin White at the Sam. Landon Roberts at the Mike. Eric Stokes as the left corner. Jeremy Chin as the strong safety. Isaiah Polamau as the free safety. Kai Blue Kelly as the right corner, and Darnay Holmes as the nickel. That's not a bad team when you got backups. Tyree Wilson, Jamal Adams was backing up at the will. Chris Smith, former Lion, I think. Lekai Fotu, he's in there. He was on their third team for left defensive tackle. So, I mean, that's not a bad defense, right? I don't know who's held over this year. Let's take a look at who's held over this year. So, Booker, Butler, they're there. They lost one of their defensive tackles. They brought in Kwity Paye. They brought in Quay Walker. N'Kobe Dean. Eric Stokes, Chin, Palamau, they're all still there. They have a new nickel. And Teron Johnson and Darian Porter is their right corner. So they've had a few changes, right? Malcolm Kuntz is still there, but he's listed in second team right now. I don't know why. So, I mean, it was a decent defense. So Devin White, look, he played well above, I think, what anyone expected. Obviously, he struggled in 24. He had a tough time. But Devin White, in his ability, I think, is really going to give the Lions some security at multiple linebacker positions. And it's funny because all week last week, I kept saying that the linebacker room is probably the weakest room. And after the secondary, because Brian and Kirby are out, like if they were healthy, like the linebacker room is what I said was still the weakest room. Had Jimmy Rolder not been injured, does Devin White still come in? That's the question that I keep asking myself. But here's a defined difference for Brad Holmes this year. He didn't just go out and bring in somebody to fill the space and then say next man up, and I'm gonna push somebody else up to take the spot of Rolder, even though he's a rookie. He went out and got a vet, is what he did. He went out and got a vet that can play a lot of snaps, that knows the game of football, and can be a dominant player on this team. So Brad Holmes didn't waste any time. He just went out and got the best available player out there. Now, I don't know the conversations. Nobody does. As far as how long they've been talking to Devin White, if this was knee-jerk reaction, where they were just, looking for somebody, that's who they found and that's who they brought in, or had there been conversations, leading up to this. And I did see a mention of Devin White. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Something that he said. Should have wrote it down. I was exhausted last night, man. The first time I've been in bed since before 10 p.m. and I can't tell you how long. Yeah, right here. Devin White explains why he signed with Detroit. And I think you're going to appreciate this. What the hell is meltwater? Detroit News. Meltwater? What the hell is that? Anyway, let me pull this thing in. Okay. All right, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won their, what does it say? Hold on. It is not fitting exactly where it needs to fit. Un momento, por favor. We'll get it up there. Okay. It says in here that White signed Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won their second title in 6 seasons. 6 seasons ago in no small thanks to White, who was an All-Pro in 2020 with 9 sacks and picked off Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. White still remembers what it was like lifting the Lombardi Trophy in an emotion he described as the greatest feeling in the world. He signed with the Lions in part because he thinks that they have what it takes to win it all. I mean, that's a bold statement. He signed with the Lions in part because he thinks they have what it takes to win it all. Here's his quote. He says, they've got all the attributes. They have all the attributes, and they're doing all the right things. I think that's one good thing that I've seen on the first day of practice for me is just we were situation aware. That was after his first practice with the Lions yesterday. That's really, really good. And obviously, hard work pays off at the end of the day. That's what this team is about. I asked a couple of guys, what's the standard around here? And it's like, man, all out, all out. So I think I fit right in. And he does, man. If you watch White play, and I watched a few of his highlights. I didn't dig into tape, but I watched a few of his highlights. Man, he goes 1,000 miles an hour. 1,000 miles an hour, no matter what. So I think that's a very bold statement, that he feels that the Lions have exactly what it takes to win right away, that they're doing all the right things, and that's why he came here. That was part of his decision. But let's take a listen to his actual comments in his video press conference. But before I do, I'm gonna jump into the chat real quick because there's a couple of things I wanted to respond to. Robbie, I'm starting with you. So yesterday, you mentioned kind of what you just said in the chat too, that you thought that maybe Devin White should have had more TFLs. I explain that because he had more than Jack Campbell. And I guess I don't know how many more you're expecting, from a guy that produced that many tackles. I mean, yeah, you would love to have more TFLs. You know me and TFLs. I love TFLs. I think TFLs are the most important stat on the defense. It's better than sacks because you've got more of an opportunity to get TFLs throughout every play, and you've got multiple players that you can create TFLs on. So explain why you think that Devin White should have had more TFLs. Because then I guess we got to say that Jack Campbell should have had more too, right? Is that what you're saying? They both should have had more? I'm just trying to figure out what your thought process is. See, Arthur Fonzarelli says, that said, I feel properly focused does give us best info for offensive linemen. Things that are easy to grade, but linebacker involves scheme, and there's no way they know the assignment for each guy. So what's the question there? Or what's the statement there? I'm not following that one. We're talking about PFF. Okay, I see it now. The only reason people don't like him is because Pro Football Focus is great. Yeah, look, take PFF and throw it in a pile of dog poop, step on it, and then throw it in the trash. Because you're exactly right. They don't know the assignment. They don't know what he was asked to do. They have no idea what the rules are for Devin White last year in Vegas, what they're trying to evaluate on. And remember, I broke down PFF last year. I went all in on them, I think, very early in the season because I came across an article that is on their damn site that they have like 600 people there. God knows how many they don't have now, but they hire 18-year-olds. And I was literally going to go apply. They'll hire 18-year-olds with no experience, and they sit and watch the TV version. And I'll break this down real quick. So explain to me how you have 16 games on a weekend or throughout the week, but at least 14 games on the weekend, most weeks. And you only have 3 people at PFF that are allowed to give final grades, and then one person has to go through it all. How can you grade and go through, what is that? 12, about 92 hours of game film in 24 hours? Between Sunday and Monday, how are you going through that many? There's not enough hours in the day. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough hours in the day. There's no way you can go through that much game film and get it exactly everything right. Now, we don't know what level of film that they're watching at PFF, but based on what I've heard and also read, that some of these guys will just legit watch the broadcast view and evaluate it that way. Not looking at an all 22 view, right? You're not looking at just clips of the player. Now, I'm not saying that PFF at the end of the season doesn't go back and maybe look at individual clips. I doubt that they do. I mean, PFF is, they're trying to change everything. I think they were just recently sold and they completely got rid of like a whole section of their statistical and analytics, and they're primarily trying to supply it to the NFL and not the fans. So you're exactly right, man. PFF is good for a lot of things, but they are not great for grades. I have compared their stats by watching film. Like Aiden Hutchinson was a big one in the first couple of seasons. I think whoever was grading Aiden Hutchinson was a U of M fan. Now, I'm not talking smack, I'm talking facts. Because they were saying that Aiden Hutchinson was like the most doubled, most tripled, most chipped guy on the planet. And I went through game by game by game. And I know a few of you probably remember the video clip that I put out. I sent it to a few people. And I said, explain why. I just watched all of the same film. I went to every single cut up of Aiden Hutchinson. I created and compiled a video. And then I looked at the numbers that PFF put out. And then I challenged everybody to look at it. He wasn't doubled hardly ever. I think you had uneducated people that were grading these things, uneducated, analysts that they hire in at 18 years old calling every chip a double team. Or calling every, slide protection a triple team. Or because Aiden made contact with 3 people or 3 players that it was a triple team. That doesn't make it a triple team. A triple team is when 3 players are on you like flies on poop. A double team is when 2 players come out to meet you. If you're taking on one-on-one 2 or 3 times in a play, that's not a triple team. The definition is totally different. And so his numbers were so skewed. And so when Aiden was struggling, everyone had the excuse, well, he's the most doubled and triple guy on the planet. He's not. Not even close. And the numbers have finally kind of come back around last year, where that proves that. But then I always ask the question, Myles Garrett actually is one of the most doubled and triple team guys. He wins his reps. He broke the sack record last year. If he can do it doubled and triple teamed, and he's, an all-pro, one of the best ever to do it, well, the best ever now, that's what I'm comparing Aiden to as second overall. So you have to be able to win your reps. But your PFF's grades and some of the things that they were putting together were so far off, it wasn't even funny. But I want you to think of the other side. Now, remember, I'm not throwing shade at Aiden. We're just having a conversation. You have to look at the other side. Why do you think that they would be doing that? Why do you think Chris Collinsworth, who was the majority owner of PFF and doing all the broadcasts for the NFL, former player, good relationship with Roger Goodell, why do you think it is that PFF was created? Well, think about it. Fantasy football started to happen. They're trying to sell you fantasy football. Betting, they're trying to sell you on all these betting sites. So if you're getting wrong information and then you're forming your bets on that information, you're not making the money. Who's making the money? It's the big fat cats behind the sheet, like Wizard of Oz, that are back there just going, ha, 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 ha. Yep, keep subscribing to PFF and take all that information and go ahead and bet with it because it's wrong. You gotta chase the money, man. That's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with giving you factual data. Now, Sports Info Solutions, if you want an independent, completely independent source for stats, go to Sports Info Solutions. Had some great conversations with those guys last year, and this year during the draft. And their site is incredible. They do a wonderful job. It is, they have a lot of the same things that PFF does, but even better. So if you want some real granular detail about players, Sports Info Solutions is the place to go. Now, that doesn't mean I won't use PFF, because you have to also remember that PFF provides a means to an end for something quick. And so if you're looking for something just really quick, it's usually pretty easy to find it. I just have to get better at using Sports Info Solutions. And now that I have the GSIS, I really don't need anything, because I'm just going to go right to the real source, which is the NFL. The NFL has their own team that are compiling the stats. Their stats come from the NFL employees, not from anybody else. So that's my rant of the day, if you will. Robbie, what'd you say? Let me try to find it. Man, how far back? I don't see anything. I said White struggled but had 170 tackles. I didn't say that, Raw. What are you talking about? He struggled to learn a new system in 2024. He bounced around. You got to pay attention to what I say. You can't. You're missing the whole half of the conversation. I never said White struggled last year. I said that he struggled in 2024. He went from Philly to the Texans and somewhere else. He didn't latch on. He struggled in 2024. But I don't see your response on why you think he should have had more TFLs. Ooh, Arthur, I like that statement. He says, football isn't baseball. Football stats rely on whether other players or what other players are doing. 100% facts, man. That is, we got to get back to the big statements of the day. That is
a big time stop by that defense.
That's a great statement there because it's facts. You know, I say it all the time. It's a giant, you know, coordinated dance out there. You know, it's choreographed. And when one dancer is not doing their job, it looks pretty funny, doesn't it? You know? If just one player bites on the run and it's a play action and now they're passing it, well, you're going to get gashed for 20 or 30. But if all players are working in sync and they all understand each other and where that, you know, player should be, what they're going to do on this play, and that takes a high level amount of information about your teammates. It takes time on the field, right? The camaraderie that has to get built up. And when it happens, it is a beautiful thing. And I think that's what the Lions are looking forward to this year, is they have a lot of the same guys in this group now for many years, and that is why Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes built it that way. That is why you don't want all of the outside noise and all of these outside, you know, free agents, that, you know, big name free agents or whatever. You want guys that can come in and fit your brand of football. You want guys that can come in and fit your choreograph. Right? If they can't, it looks awkward and bad things happen. I don't know why I'm stuck on this stupid screen. I just lost all that video by being stuck in that screen. Didn't even notice it. I guess I'll just have some good audio hot takes there. All right, let's get into Devin White. That's where we started. I got off on the rant. Let's just get into Devin White. We'll talk about this stuff in a minute.
You know, do whatever I need to do.
Like for you when you got the news?
I mean, it was good. Just wanted to get back with a winning program, try to help them, you know, do whatever I need to do, just to be a help, that's all.
What is it about the Lions that you like?
I feel like the play style on defense is very aggressive. They use all their players to their strengths, and I know I got a lot of strengths that could be used, and I think this is an organization that can bring them out.
What was the last 24 hours for you like? Where'd you get to the draft?
Flew in Friday night, did some medical stuff Saturday, and just got the rolling today.
Just first impressions, obviously no pads, you know, still kind of acclimation period, but just first impressions of what you saw out here.
Oh, I think the speed of the game, I think doing everything at an intense level. You know, he harped on that, you know, just being all out. You know, that was part of the thing he said, you know, Coach Dan was like, when I was in New Orleans when we was in the same division, and that's what stuck off the tape always about you, is that you just go 100 miles per hour. So just being able to come over here and fly around.
Did Shep share any of his expectations for you? I know that he's keyed in on your leadership as well, and plus another LSU guy.
Most definitely. He just told me to come in and, you know, just be you. Get a hold to the system and, you know, just hit the ground running. So they threw me in the fire today. First day I was in there. It's different, you know, same coverage, is just different terminology. So I'm trying to get that terminology down with the coverages that I know. But I like being thrown in the fire. I like being able to compete. You know, it's a lot of great guys in the room, and I just want to fit in where I fit in.
Did you and Shep have any previous connections with the LSU?
I mean, we personally knew each other just on the, you know, LSU connection, but not talk on the phone every day. Like, I wouldn't say that. Hopefully that relationship finna grow stronger now that I am kind of under his wing right now, since he is the defensive coordinator and, you know, he draws everything up, so I kind of want to think just like him.
Devin, have you had some opportunities before this? Were you waiting for the right time, right situation?
Yeah, I feel like coming off last year, you know, losing season, that was like first time ever since I ain't never had a losing season in my career since I was a kid, so that was very hard. And, you know, you try to, like, dot the I's and cross the T's, and you want to put yourself in the best position to win. You know, in this league, winning is fun. And, you know, you got to work hard to be able to win. So I knew this was a hard-working, winning organization, so I felt like it was just the right fit.
And had this been in the works for a minute before even the roller injury? Or?
Yeah, I mean, no. Oh, I don't know nothing about that, but I know we talked, you know, early in free agency, and, you know, we want to revisit, and so it's kind of always been on the ship.
How have you been spending most of this offseason making sure your mental shape?
I got to go back and hear that again. Hold on.
You know, early organization, so I felt like it was just the right fit.
And had this been in the works for a minute before even the roller injury? Or?
Yeah, I mean, no. Oh, I don't know nothing about that, but I know we talked, early in free agency, and we want to revisit. And
Bang!
So
there it is.
Been on the ship.
There it is. That is huge. That is huge. So this was not just about Jimmy Rolder. That was exactly what I was looking for. This had nothing to do with Jimmy Rolder. This was something that they were looking to do in free agency. Now, if you remember, I put out my inside information that I had on the Lions. And what did I say back then? What did I say during free agency? That the Lions were going heavy on corner and linebackers. Devin White just admitted that they communicated early in free agency. Now, it didn't come to fruition until now. Now there's an injury, so, hey, maybe they finally, dotted their I's, like he says, crossed the T's and got him in here, obviously. So, obviously, Brad Holmes, and thanks to my guy, I know that there's people out there that talk crap about my guy, and they think that it's like some AI overview. AI can't tell me or predict things that I predict, right? AI can't tell me, the things that I know and the things that I've said that have come true. Like I'm hitting about 90% on. That's why I don't say sources all the time. That's why I don't say inside sources, because I'd rather have a high hit rate than get wrong all the time. And quite honestly, there's a lot of people out there that are wrong all the time. And that is why I love what I do. And I try to do it with truth, honesty, and transparency to try to get things right. I don't want to feed you fake stuff, because then you're going to lose confidence in me, right? I don't want you to lose confidence that I'm just out there for clicks, because that's not what I'm about. I don't survive off clicks, right? This doesn't pay my bills. This is fun. This is something I enjoy. Now, people try to suck the enjoyment out, but I'm not going to let them. I'm not going to let them do that. But that's huge news by Devin White that this has been in the works now since free agency.
Spending most of this offseason making sure you're in mental shape, you're in physical shape.
Yeah, I think mental the most part, just never knowing what's next. If you're going to do something next, or do you want to, whatever you want to do in life. I think that's that's more important than physical. Physical, just working out, got a good team around myself. They just keep me going. I was able to come right in, get right on the field, and even when I wasn't going, I got with the strength coach and did more work just to keep going. It's all about the work that you put in. So even though I'm here, I'm instead of putting in more work, just trying to show these guys that I can be a part of this team and I can help.
Hey, Devin, what are you new Casey Rogers well?
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't, and I didn't even realize he was still here. I knew he was here, but I didn't realize he was still here. But when I seen him in the building, man, we did a lot of things together as far as working with the front in Tampa, me blitzing off those guys and putting in certain stunts and stuff. So that was a good, because he know my play style, he know what I can do, and he can help those guys be able to utilize me even more, because he's actually been in the building with me for 5 years.
What did you mentioned a little bit like what the losing did last year, but just on a personal level, did it do something good for you too, to play the way you did, all the tackles you had after?
Yeah, I mean, I know, just for me, I was just excited to be playing the game, just happy to be out there flying around. But like I said, self-accomplishment don't mean nothing. You want to be able to win, like it's coming from a person that hosts that trophy up with a lot of other guys, and that's the greatest feeling in the world. So I just want to get back to that. All the self stuff I did, that didn't mean nothing to me. It was just showing everybody else, man, he can still run, hit, go get the turnovers and get tackles for a loss. So that's what they needed to see. But for me, it's about winning and being a team guy.
I think some people wrote you off.
Yeah, they probably thought I didn't have it no more, but it's okay. That's why the book keep going, I'm going to put the end into it.
And I know that having like Super Bowl experience, knowing what it takes to get to that level, what does it mean to kind of, come to a team, a program that's never been there before? How can you kind of use that experience to help those guys?
Just the way I work, but the way I work is the way they work as well. They got all the attributes and they doing all the right things, even self-aware things, just working on self, like for a minute at the end of practice, just putting yourself in position, because you never know when it's going to come up, but when it come up, you're ready to take over on it, and I think that's one good thing that I seen on the first day of practice for me is we were just situation aware, and that's really, really good. And obviously hard work pay off at the end of the day, and that's what this team is about. That's what me and Coach Dan talked about. He was like, this is what I expected of you, fly around, and that's what I want. That's what we're about. And I asked a couple guys, like, what's the standard around here? And it's like, man, all out. So I think I'll fit right in.
Are you a chip on your shoulder guy? Are you taking notes of the doubters out there?
No, I don't really worry about the doubters. I mean, at the end of the day, I got to go out there and do the job. You know, I don't know who doubted me. I don't know who for me. I know my family for me, and I know this organization behind me right now, because if they wouldn't, they wouldn't have brought me in. So I'm just here to, you know, help these guys.
Who in particular did you talk with that kind of helped you establish that standard? Was Jack Campbell one of those guys?
Yeah, one of the first guys that reached out, talked to him. I think he was like real, you know, big on the standard and just talking ball.
You had a bunch of teams that were potentially interested in you, your resume, just kind of how you wanted to play it, like wait for the right team, the right fit to come on.
Yeah, I feel like just jumping out there head first and putting myself back in the position that I was in last year. You know, a lot of other teams, they probably be a lot of pieces away from getting to even the postseason, you know, and I really didn't want to deal with that right now. I want to go in and be able to help a team that really wants to win right now. And obviously the culture around here, you know, the previous seasons, you can see it. And I think this just was the right fit for me, being around some ball coaches, like who actually played the game and can actually get out there hands-on with you. And like, let's keep improving. Let's keep improving. Whatever they feel like I need to improve in, they can actually get out there and coach me, because they did it before, so they know exactly what they're looking for.
You think Shep can still play?
He probably could. He athletic. He look athletic. He run around, so I think he probably still could, but he's doing a good job calling the plays right now.
Were you considering any other teams? I mean, is it?
I was, but it don't matter. I didn't pick them. Yeah, we didn't agree with them, so it didn't matter.
How long did that process kind of play out, though?
It started as soon as free agency came, and you know, we didn't rush it. You know, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just getting to a team where you can grow. You know, you can't grow when there's a lot of like downside going on, and I think it's a lot of upside here. So no matter what I do, it's a lot of room for growth.
Obviously,
I love it, man.
Part of your career is, you know, spent with, you know, Tampa. That's what people most associate. And then, you know, this most recent period has been a few teams here and there. Do you see this as like a chance to kind of establish that kind of, you know, solid ground that you've had at the outset of your career?
I don't know. I just want to keep learning the plays first. You know, it's a new playbook, different language, same coverages, but that's all I'm focusing on now. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I really don't care. I just want to help this team. And whatever on the back end of that'll come. I really don't like to think to the future. You know, I just like to put myself in my shoes today. And right now I just finished day one of practice, and it was a good one. And I got to go back and get back into film study so I can come back tomorrow with the pads on. It'll be a lot faster and, you know, a lot more physical. So I'll be trying to get acclimated to that.
Okay.
Great stuff, man.
So here we
great stuff there by Devin White. Again, I have to go back and just say how important it is that you know, a lot of fans that distrust Brad Holmes. I don't get it. Brad was trying to set this team up in free agency. You know, maybe I don't know if Devin White's contract has been reported yet. I haven't seen any numbers. Let me know in the chat if you guys have heard something, not a rumor, but actual fact, because I haven't seen it. I can't say that I looked either, but usually it pops up for me. Maybe the number was just too much in free agency, and maybe that number was a little bit smaller now. I don't know. At the end of the day, I agree with a lot of you in the chat. Devin White is going to be a solid locker room guy. I love the way that he talks. Like you can, there's a defined difference between players and how they speak. And you can tell that he speaks from experience, with knowledge, with intent, and as a veteran, right? As like an adult in the room, I guess you would say. You can tell that he's going to fit in right away. You can see exactly why he's here and why he's going to be a big part of this team moving forward. I think that Devin White stays healthy. He's a lock on the roster for sure. If they wanted him in free agency, there was no reason why he wouldn't have made the roster. And with his experience and everything else, I feel like it's just a no-brainer that he's going to fit in great. He's only 28 years old, right? He's still young. So I'm interested to know if this is a 1-year deal, if this is a 2-year deal. Like, what is it? Because whatever it is, it's a great deal to have him in the room. 1,118 defensive snaps last year. Like I said, 174 tackles, 11 for loss, 2.5 sacks, 13 pressures. That is a damn good year. That is a lot of work. That is a ton of work. But we got some breaking news. Let's get to the breaking news right now. As soon as I can figure out where I put it. Where did I put it? I think it's right here. There it is. We got a Brian Branch sighting at camp today. According to Jeremy Reisman, Brian Branch is doing some on-field work with the trainers today. The first time he's done so all training camp. Again, according to Jeremy Reisman, he says, good sign, he's trending in the right direction. This, again, it fits right into what Dan Campbell said. And my hopes for Brian Branch is, Danny Dimes is back. Patrick Mahomes is back. Brian Branch got injured around the same time. Why is he not back? Lions, I think, are just being cautious. They want, their number one safety. Well, number one strong safety. One of their best defenders on the field. They want him healthy for the season. The fact that he's out there doing some things now is leaning into the direction that Dan Campbell mentioned that, hey, it could be in a couple weeks towards the end of camp. It could be, the first week of the season. The fact that he's out there today, you're probably going to see a couple of weeks of ramp-up time. He may be in practice next week. As far as having the pads on, I don't think that they're going to put him in pads right away. He's going to have to do everything without pads and get, into football shape before they're going to put him out there in pads and doing any sort of hitting and tackling. So this is great news. It's phenomenal that if the Lions are able to get him back early, how big of an impact that's going to have on this defense. I'm telling you all, this defense is going to be huge this year. Again, we got to stay healthy. And I want to go into a report here in just a couple of moments. We're going to take a brief break. When I come back, Robbie, yes, I will get the phone lines open here in a little bit, at least towards the end of the show. So probably around 9:50-ish. And I do want to get into a report from last year about injured teams. I thought this would be a great day to talk about it. So let's talk about it coming up next.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle, got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo, angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone.
The season is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to SportsSpider.com, that's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit SportsSpider.com today, right after the show.
We back here, and it is Monday, man, August 3rd, 2026. Lions are entering day number 5. Day number 5. Day number 5. I'm just trying to think to last year. Where I'm like right now I'm pausing because I'm trying to think last year, where were we at this time? Does anyone remember like what injuries we had already by day 5? Did we have any significant injuries? I know that Levi Onwuzurike was injured like early in the offseason program. Did we have any major injuries by now? Maybe it was Ennis Rakestraw. It might have been Ennis Rakestraw. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and look. But anyway, talking about Sports Info Solutions today, there's an old article that I wanted to go back to. This was actually printed sometime around the end of last year. And the title is, which NFL teams were the most and least affected by injuries in 2025? And Attila had emailed me the other day, and I read that, adjusted games lost. And so this one kind of covers like the total missed games and total missed points. It's kind of both. And so the narrative about, affected teams or teams affected by injury is kind of shifted over time. And this, let me get this off the screen. Come on. And this article kind of breaks it down a little bit. So it starts off by saying, key players exited and returned throughout last year, but this year's conversation really started with the 49ers. They already knew that they were going to be missing Brandon Ayuk for much of the season, which turned out to be the whole season. And from that point, also sustained injuries to Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Ben Bartch, Brock Purdy, and Ricky Pearsall, among others. And just that statement alone, with Ben Bartch being mentioned in the top of that list, tells you how much Ben Bartch was a part of this team and a part of that offensive line and the expectation of what was really expected out of him as far as his play, how important he was. So the subsequent return of many of these players caused them to be surpassed in the injury accumulation department, and they ended the season pretty functional, at least offensively. But not every other team had that ability. And this was updated on January 7, 2026. The Cardinals last year, according to this article in January, was the most injured team in the season. They had 296 games missed, and they calculated 266 points missed last season. The Commanders were number 2, 222 games missed, 230 points missed. The 49ers were number 3. They started off the year in trouble. They finished in trouble. They were the third most injured team with 262 games missed, 200 points missed. The Bills at number 4, 297 games missed, 190 total points missed. And then there's the Dolphins, 248 games, 182 points. Then there were the Falcons, 202 games, 176 points. The Giants, 278 games, 172 points. The Saints, 234 and 162. The Bengals, 161, 160. And then there was the Lions. But this is the difference. When you look at the players that were injured from the Lions last year, they had 326 games missed. All the teams above them, the most they had missed was 296. How is it the Lions had 30 more games missed? Because those were starters that were missing. And the Lions missed out on 159 points. And to think about it, what were we, the second highest scoring offense last year? Had we added even half that amount of points, would that have put us in first place? Probably. The fact that we were still able to have a decent season, I mean, just getting a quarter of those players and a quarter of those points back, we probably win 13 games. Injuries matter. It matters for every team, for every season, for the playoffs, to go deep into the Super Bowl. It all matters. And the one thing that I will never, again, discredit Brad Holmes about is that he has set this team up with the right players, time and time and time again. He has set this team up with the right depth chart, time and time and time again. unfortunately, he can't do anything about injuries. No team can. No GM can. No coach can. There's nothing you can do about it. And this insufferable fan base at times just can't get over the fact that Brad Holmes can't do anything about it. You have cap constraints. You have roster constraints. You have future cap constraints because of players you need to sign. And now you have a bunch of injuries and your season is kind of walking off the plank. And it did last year. And it's unfortunate. And it did the year before. And it's unfortunate. In 2023, we were still a fairly injured team, but might have been one of our better seasons. That it would have been our least injured season, I think, over the last 5 seasons. And that was a great run. We had enough. But what we didn't have was a defense that could protect a lead. And that is what the Lions have been building towards over the last couple of seasons, from my perspective, is they are trying to build a defense that can sustain a lead. That they have to play smarter, and these players are getting smarter. They're becoming vets. They've been around this team for a long time, and that is why Brad built this team the way he did, or Brad and Dan built the team the way they did. As I mentioned earlier, yeah, if you go out and just bring in a bunch of, one-hitter quitters in free agency and sign them to massive deals, and then you don't win it all, it was a waste. And then you wasted future money. You wasted future opportunity. And that's exactly where you don't want to be, because those teams will not win a Super Bowl. They want this team to be successful, and they want it to be able to be built together so they understand how to play together. Consistently bringing in new guys doesn't always work. Right? I don't know. I don't know how else to really better say it. But players are their own individuals, right? But when they can play together as a hive, they can play together, period. Those are the teams that win. And you have to have some rookie production. The teams that are winning Super Bowls, that are making it deep into the playoffs, are having some solid rookie production. 2023, we had 4 rookies that helped this team get to what could have been the pinnacle, the Super Bowl. All 4 of those rookies that were selected, the top 4 of 23's draft, had huge seasons in their own right. That trailed off the next couple of years because the roster was harder to make. You already had bona fide starters, and then we had a lot of guys injured. So I just wanted to go through that real quick, because if you look at all the teams in the top, the Cardinals, the Commanders, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Falcons, the Giants, the Saints, the Bengals, I don't think any of those teams made the playoffs last year. I was positive they didn't. Going all the way back to the wild card, the Bills might be the only team. No, the Bills were the only team that made the playoffs. No, the 49ers made the wild card too. So you had 2 teams, and the 49ers were hurt big time early, and then they got healthy at the end. And so right now, what's happening to the Lions? The Lions are having a few players banged up early. It's all about December, right? It's about getting healthy in December. That's why you don't rush players back. So out of all those teams in the top, what was that, 13 teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Top 10 most injured teams, the Lions being one of them. The 49ers and the Bills are the only 2 teams that made the wild card. The Bills advanced, I think. Right? Didn't the Bills advance? They beat the Jags by a field goal. And the 49ers did not. They lost. No, they did. They beat the Eagles 23-19. And then they lost. Both teams lost. So I think it matters. Injuries matter. I think we all understand that. I think we all understand how important it is for these teams to stay healthy. All right, let's get into a summary of the day here. Summary of the last few days. So yesterday, I was trying to go through what I saw in practice, and I just had a rough go. So I want to apologize. Man, I had like no sleep. I barely had like 45 minutes to kind of prep the show, and then I bounced out of here at 6:00. So I was trying to rush everything because I didn't think I had enough time. Like Megan's flight wasn't supposed to come in till 7:30, and then it got bumped up to like 6:30, and then it got bumped back, and she didn't get in until 8:00. So I could have taken the extra hour to get ready and would have been great, but I rushed it, and I tried to cover too much. So I apologize. Yesterday wasn't the greatest. I still got to get caught up on 2 days of writing and get all my thoughts out, for the last 2 days, but I'll try to get that done today. So anyway, yesterday, let's do a quick recap. Detroit's defense controlled the red zone all day. Ali McNeil returned. Christian Izien made his camp debut. So the right tackle rotation changed a little bit because Miller sat out practice. He did some individual drills. Devin White made his first appearance, explained why he chose Detroit. And I guess getting back to Blake Miller, like his workload was highly reduced. And then Jahmyr Gibbs showed up to at least be with his team for a little bit, while he was on the field, and then he went back in. So the defense, like I said, they owned most of the important part of Sunday's, back together weekend practice, right, for the Lions loyal members. The first team offense struggled mightily, repeatedly in the red zone, as Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, DJ Reed, and Rock Ya-Sin all produced stops. Tight coverage and pass breakups throughout the day. The reserve offense found a little bit more success, but the starting defense controlled and compressed the field all day. McNeil returned after leaving Friday's practice and completed his work without any reported setbacks. Izzy in practice for the first time after recovering from an illness and received work from both the first and the second team defense. And then what really completed the first practice for Ennis Rakestraw and explained that White completed his first practice and explained that it was the winning culture, right? The staff, the opportunity, and everything to contribute and be with the contender is what mattered most. He has to understand the terminology. Obviously, this is a learning system for him rather than just kind of chasing that starting potential, or starting job. He's looking to just learn the system, fit in, and do what the other guys do, and then he'll, obviously compete at a much higher level to try to win a starting job. That may be there. We don't know yet. I can't imagine that Devin White's not going to beat out Malcolm. I think he will. I'm almost positive he will. But we'll see where it goes, right? The offensive line yesterday became more fluid. Miller's activity again we reduced. Borum and Miles Frazier rotated at right tackle. Frazier was kind of the big key of the day yesterday. Dan Campbell mentioned this morning that he's kind of one of those rising stars right now, getting a lot of opportunity. He handled multiple positions. He reinforced his value as developmental utility lineman or developmental depth. And I think that's going to be a big key going into this season. Hoping that the offense doesn't, suffer a lot of injury, but having guys like Miles Frazier, Ben Barch, Juice Scruggs makes me feel a lot better about where this offensive line is headed for the future. Next up, let's talk about, the goal line situation. So the Lions yesterday did a lot of red zone work. And when the field gets smaller and smaller and things get more compressed, that is where the offense will have more trouble and the defense should play better. And that's what happened yesterday. The offense had, some issues last season with competing in the red zone and completing all of their opportunities and stalled out at times. And that is exactly what we don't want to see. Hold on a sec. Something just flashed across my screen. I just saw something that said injury news, and I'm hoping that we don't have more injury news. Have you guys seen anything? I think we're good. I think it was just an old alert. Whew. I think we're good. Damn, heart dropped there for a moment. All right, so like I was saying, when the field gets smaller and smaller and it gets more compressed around the red zone, that is where you need your offense to play its best football. And last season we were missing Sam Laporta, who is huge in and around the goal line, but especially once you start to enter the red zone, having him, in and around that goal line, in that seam route that he runs so great, being able to slip behind those linebackers and give Jared Goff a viable option into the end zone is exactly what we were missing, or at least to move the chains. So yesterday, they were working on route spacing, and the quarterbacks were kind of, they need to make faster decisions. At least that's what I noticed throughout my time in camp or my time at practice yesterday, is that the quarterbacks were kind of holding the ball too much. The defense, obviously they were on top of it. They were making plays all over the field. Again, like I said, Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, DJ Reed, Rocky Sin, all of them were challenging throws. Ennis Rakestraw was challenging throws. Even though he had multiple, passes completed against him, that starting offense struggled to finish drives yesterday. I think it's an encouraging development for Kelvin Shepherd's defense this early to be winning, because obviously the Lions want to become less predictable, right, without becoming less physical. The bigger personnel news of the day was also positive, right? McNeil returned after Friday's scare. They had the day off on Saturday. He came back to practice on Sunday. And again, Izzy in practice for the first time. So all good developments yesterday. And then with White, having his first opportunity out there, I think that it's only going to be a moment, or two or three before he really settles in and starts playing the way that he can play. Overall, yesterday provided some highlight opportunities for a couple of guys. Isaac Tesla struggled a little bit. And I gave some context to that too, because you're going to see that probably printed everywhere that Isaac Tesla was struggling. But if any video comes out, which I haven't seen yet, but we'll have to find the clips. If we can find the clips of Yassine versus Tesla, or even White's, I think Whiteside was on Tesla too for a moment. I said it yesterday. He was draped all over him. Yellow dirty laundry was going to be flying everywhere on those plays. So I don't want to say that Isaac Tesla is struggling in camp. Yeah, he didn't have the greatest of days yesterday, but I also think that the context needs to be added that there was some highly aggressive play by the cornerbacks that would have been flagged. Isaiah Pacheco really stood out to me yesterday, especially in the return game. He made this jump cut. He was coming up. He was kind of coming up like the left side of center on a kick return. And then he moved to the right and then jump cut back to the left, if memory serves me right. And then bounced back to the right to center and was gone. Had that play, had all, 11 players for both sides, may not have happened, but it was encouraging to see how shifty he was. Dan Campbell mentioned today, Cedric Wilson and how shifty and smooth he was. I'm wondering, I'm just wondering, what the hell did I say yesterday about Cedric Wilson? Did I put anything about Cedric Wilson yesterday? I'm curious. I need to go find my account real quick. I want to say I said the very similar thing. A lot of guys looked really smooth and fluid yesterday. In that receiver room, Keys, Jackson, a lot of players, man. And I think that that's another elevation to this roster this year. is what we're seeing in that receiver room. It's going to be really tough for these, coaches to get down to cuts and look around this room like, man, we have such a great problem. How are we going to get down to 6 or 5? Maybe they keep 6 this year. I think they've only done it in 1 year, and that is when Jamison Williams was suspended. So my Twitter updates yesterday. Trying to find Cedric Wilson. I thought I put something out about him yesterday. Jackson Meeks looks good yesterday. Sam Laporta looked great yesterday. And Lucky Jackson looked great yesterday. I don't think I put anything out about Wilson. I think I said something about him during the show. Almost positive I did, but I guess I didn't put anything out publicly on Twitter. Oh, well. Here's what it is. All right, Robbie, as I promised, if you're still in, I will open up the phone lines here. Just give me 1 sec. Let me get it pulled up. And then, I'm going to shift back to Lines Media and get caught up. And every day this thing changes. It's so crazy. All right, we should be good. All right, if you guys want to call in and talk about your Detroit Lions and what's happening so far, I'll give the floor to Robbie first. If he's still in with us, we'll take a listen to what he's got to say. He wants to explain his takes. Come on in, Robbie. So something I want to start tomorrow. I heard that Dan Patrick was going to retire, and he's done something on every one of his shows since like inception, where callers would call in and they would weigh in, 6 foot, 215 pounds, ding ding ding, So since I'm on this health and weight loss journey, I'm going to check in every day. So if you guys want to check in the chat, that'd be great. You don't have to. But check it in the morning, weigh yourself, get back to being healthy. Let's do it together, man. If we stay healthy, the Lions stay healthy. How about that? If we stay healthy, they stay healthy. That's what we need. So I'll check in, man. 6'1", 244 pounds today. Robbie, I don't hear it ringing, dude. I see you calling on my phone, but it's not ringing over here. Give me just 1 sec, Robbie. Why is it not ringing? The test worked. Try again. I'll just call you.
Hello.
All right, Robbie, what's happening, man?
Hey, did I call the wrong number?
No, well, you might have. Maybe that's what you did. Maybe you called the old show number.
Yeah, maybe.
You got to delete that one. Just 313 podcast.
Yeah. All right. So my first comment was regarding your take on Devin White wasn't positive but he had 170 tackles. That wasn't directed at you. That was more at PFF because they said he didn't play well, but the production says otherwise.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I thought you said he struggled and then had those tackles. But yeah, no, he struggled in 24. But so what do you think about Devin White? What's your overall take on the TFL thing? Like you mentioned you thought that he should have more.
My tackle for loss take was in regards to, put it simply, if a player has 150 tackles, right? Combined tackles, assisted and solo. General rule of thumb is kind of 10% should be TFLs, especially if you're playing within that front seven. Because you're close to the line of scrimmage, you're attacking the ball. Now, obviously, you got to account for some teams are more vertical versus running, and some teams are playing from behind versus playing with a lead. But the Raiders weren't really good last year. They were competitive, but they weren't good. So I feel like there's a little bit of situation in there, but I'm not saying 11.5 tackles for loss is bad, but ideally, if he's got that many tackles, you want to see him in the 15 to 17 TFL range versus a little lower. Don't get me wrong. I think Jack Campbell should have had a lot more tackles for loss too, but I think he was more battling offensive linemen versus Devin White was maybe blitzed too much in the Raiders scheme, and it was putting him at a position to attack the running back, whether they're running one way or the other, and versus where he was lined up, and just wasn't in position to attack at that angle that suits his playing style.
So I guess when I think of tackles for loss, you thought maybe 15, and I think 15 is kind of high. I mean, of course, I would love to have our linebackers have 15 tackles for loss, but I think that when you look at the history of the league, your 15 is like probably top 5, top 6, top 7 in the league, and he had 11. And so last year, if I look at all the TFL stats, apparently I can't go past 25 on this list, but 12.
Not so much.
Hold on.
I'm not so much referencing it's the number of tackles for loss versus it's more of a percentage of your tackles.
You know I mean? I got you, but I think that we have to understand the scheme too, because if he's dropping back in coverage more and then he's making a tackle, you're not going to get a tackle for loss. If he's blitzing, or if he's playing in a base defense and you're trying to protect the run, then you could potentially have more tackles for loss. So I think it's scheme specific, but I get what you're saying. The percentage, you're looking at the efficiencies, right? How many times do I make a tackle and actually get an opportunity to drop them for a TFL? And I think you and I agree that TFLs, well, I don't know how you feel about TFLs versus sacks, but for me, I feel like TFLs are more important. And if your players are getting more TFLs, then the sacks are negotiable. But the TFLs you can do that on more against more players, right? Because you have 5 viable threats on every play, even though a few of them are running downfield. The more stuff they're doing behind the line, if you can drop 2 or 3 players behind the line on every play, including the quarterback, you can have more opportunities to get a TFL. But I'm looking at the stats from last year. Myles Garrett, he had 23 sacks. So whether they combined the sacks and called it a TFL too, he had 33 TFLs last year. Max Crosby had 28 with 10 sacks. Brian Burns had 22 with 16.5 sacks. Will Anderson had 20 TFLs on 12 sacks. Tui Puyotu had 20 on 13. I'll drop all the way down to Aiden. Aiden had 13.5 sacks. They have 14.5, but I thought he had 13.5. But he had 14 TFLs on 14.5 sacks, or 13.5, whatever number's right. And that the 25th ranked defensive player last year, according to Fox Sports, had 12 TFLs on 6 sacks. So I would say that Devin White if I could extrapolate this list out a little bit further, he's probably in the top 32 of all defensive players last year. And Jack,
you're comparing defensive ends to linebackers.
No. This is all the list. This is everybody. This is all players.
When you ran down the list, you listed all the defensive
because
ends.
they have the most, right? They have the most. If I just whittle it by linebackers, which I could do here, let me pull up the NFL GIS real quick.
Like Fred Warner was a monster tackle for loss guy before his injury. We don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. But if you look at 2024 stats, his tackles for loss were way up there because he's constantly running downhill.
Yep.
Yeah, he's more of a I like to call him a spy linebacker because when the ball snaps, he's not moving. He's just kind of watching the quarterback and seeing how the O-line reacts to what the play call is. And then he makes his decision and diagnoses the play from there. Where Jack Campbell is starting to do a lot of the similar things. He's spying the quarterback. He's kind of just waiting to see how the O-line reacts, because if it's a run, the O-line's charging. If it's a pass, the O-line's dropping back. So it gives them kind of like an edge to kind of a little bit of insight into what the play diagnosis is. Obviously, if it's a draw or a play action, they can get a little tricked. But the 49ers are generally playing with the lead. The Lions are generally playing with the lead. So there's a little bit more that they can diagnose with the situation that they're in.
So I have the GIS up, and for whatever reason, it's not breaking it out into individual players, and I don't know why. I'm going to have to reach out to them and ask them why. But for 2025, I now have every player up. I got to be careful about showing this. Let me find Devin White. Here he is. So I'll just count. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, I was spot on. He was 27th in the league last year. Out of all players, all defensive players, he was 27th in the league. And your premier players like Nick Bonito, Jordan Brooks, Montez Sweat, Yaya Diaby, Nick Herbig, Josh Sweat, Byron Young, Jalen Redmond, Josh Hines-Allen, Laialatu Latu, Jadeveon Clowney, Micah Parsons, Alex Wright, Chris Jones, Devin White. They all had 12 or 11 TFLs. And then above them, you had Aiden Hutchinson with 14, Cam Jordan, Alex Highsmith with 14, 15, Danielle Hunter with 15, Jeffrey Simmons with 17, Eric Wilson with 17, Will Anderson and Tuitu Loputu with 20, Burns with 22, Crosby with 28, Garrett with 33. These are official NFL stats. So I don't think his numbers needed to be more, but I get what you're saying, and I also think that it really depends on scheme and what they're being asked to do. He had a lot of opportunities last season as the linebacker because they were trying to run away from Max Crosby. You're funneling that ball to the middle of the field, and he get a lot of opportunities for tackles. So I think that when kind of what you said, like Fred Warner maybe is a little bit more of a spy in certain situations where he's just kind of hovering in the middle of the field, waiting for things to come to him, keeping his eye on the quarterback. I would say that Devin White probably played a very similar situation. I need to go look at his snap counts and see how many times he was at the mic, how many times he was at the will, how many times he, maybe he played Sam. I don't know. I haven't looked at his snap counts yet. And that'll tell me whether he was dropping into coverage. And then we can whittle it down and see, how much was he dropping into coverage and how many times was he not? If you drop it into coverage and getting a tackle, maybe that was the majority of his tackles. We don't know. I don't know yet. I have no idea. But I think his TFLs are fairly spot on. What else you want to talk about, man? Training camp for the first, 4.5, 5 days now. How do you feel it's going for the Lions? Anything standing out for you?
I think it's going great. I think it's exactly where Dan Campbell wants the guys to be at. I think it speaks volume to the confidence Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have in our cornerback room that we went out and got a linebacker. Obviously, they had interest in him prior to the draft, but after releasing TA and then we go and sign a linebacker, we don't get a corner. We don't look for a safety or anything like that to kind of sublet the loss of TA, but we bring in a linebacker. I think that speaks volumes into the confidence they have in our DBs, in the DB room, the chemistry and the continuity between the guys, and how they're able to play off each other.
I think you're spot on, man. I was expecting for them to go out and get a safety in the draft, or of course we didn't know what was going on with Kirby. And I think that, I'm 50-50 on Kirby right now because he talks a good talk. He looked like he was doing good last week in his field work, which was maybe intentional that, they showed that, recorded it, put it out there, all that good stuff. And then I think he's out there again today doing more work with Brian Branch off to the side, is what I just had an alert on, that he is out there and he is doing some work. But I'm 50-50 on whether or not that was a good decision or not. I mean, he's under contract. The contract is not that bad. I mean, obviously, if you released him or something, then it becomes bad. But maybe they try to get 50% out of the usual snaps. Maybe they try to put him in more situational football. Maybe he's not out there in the nickel. Maybe we have a couple other guys that are out there in the nickel. Maybe we have bigger, thumpers in the nickel. And that would make sense to me. That you try to limit Kirby to post duties only and not make him play every down on the defense and try to save him as much as you can and still utilize that ball hawking ability out of him. So I've got Devin White snap counts now. Last year, man, he was in the box 924 snaps. Left inside linebacker, 200. Mike linebacker, 210. Right inside linebacker, 189. Right linebacker, 164. Left linebacker, 160. So I think that gives you kind of a decent picture of where he played everywhere. He was asked to do everything. Well, 1,118 snaps overall. He even lined up in a slot corner position 61 times. That's just nuts to me.
That just speaks to the volume of
versatility, man.
Speed he has and agility.
Yeah,
I think him and Damone Clark are going to be quite the duo on the field with Jack Campbell. I think the Lions linebacker core is going to be more of a situational core.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be regulated based off down and distance. I don't think, other than Jack Campbell, we're going to have any one true starter on the field at any given time. It's all going to be a situational play. Based off teams. What's the word I'm looking for? Consistency and what they like to do.
So I think you're right with that too, and it kind of fits right in with what I was expecting from this defense. And we're going to start to see it soon. The defense, with these hockey line shifts is what I was calling it, where they're going to be bringing in players multiple times, on any possession that the opposite offense has. You're bringing in multiple players at once, not just one or two. You're gonna shift out an entire defensive line, or 3 players on the defensive line. You're going to bring in a couple of corners. You're going to take out a couple of corners. I think you're right. You're going to have situationally aware defense with situationally aware players that all can do different things. Some do things better than others. And I think that when you have a very versatile, open defense that the Lions seem to be establishing right now, I think it's going to lend to a much better season. And I think it's going to lend to a much better defense overall. Players are going to be more rested, and players are going to have more, volume of opportunity, as where they're just sitting on the bench all the time and not playing. I think that's a smart way to go about it if they actually pull it off this year. But I think you're exactly right. I mean, every defense wants to run situational football. You want your best players in on 3rd and 6, that can defend the run and the pass. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot more nickel. I swear to goodness, if we go to post, single high post, and we start going man-to-man at 3rd and 6 all the time, I guess it depends on where you are, but if you're in the red zone, you have to be in some sort of a nickel defense. And you have to be able to spread the field and get wider horizontally because that's what the offense is going to do to you. So I like it, man. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, regarding to your question about sacks or tackles for loss. Listen, I can go the entire season without having a single sack on a game, as long as we keep racking up tackles for loss. Okay, on first down, 1st and 10, we get a tackle for loss. Now it's 2nd and 14, 2nd and 12. Like, that's not an ideal running situation. Most teams are going to try and pass at that and create a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 6 situation, or they're going to try and stretch the field and put one over your head. So if we get another tackle for loss, if they try to run the ball or an incomplete pass, well, now they're in a situation to where they got to go for it on 3rd and long. So, like, that just favors the defense because you just remove the element. You remove the play action pass from the game because they can't run the ball. You remove anything underneath because chances are you're not getting a first down in that scenario. So you're forcing teams to become more one-dimensional. And that's what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell did when they built this defense. It wasn't initially designed around Aleem McNeil. However, Aleem McNeil was molded and became the player that this defense has been centered around. And he proved that in 2024 when everybody was hurt except for him until week 17.
Mm-hmm. It was the Bills game that year, right? It was Bills game you went out?
That is correct. Week 17.
Was it 17?
Against the Buffalo Bills. He got hurt at the end of the 3rd quarter. Carted off the field. And that's when Josh Allen took over the 4th quarter and won the game with his legs. I mean, he was running the ball on us anyways, but he wasn't running up the middle.
Right.
Aleem McNeil took Connor McGovern he was irrelevant. And that's the center everybody wanted to bring in after Linderbaum. And I said, no, he's horrible. I'm glad we got Cade Mays.
I was never high on McGovern. I think he's a good football player, but I think Cade Mays has way more upside right now.
So you like to call it a hive, I call it a pyramid. We have 3 steadfast players on the defensive line. We have Aleem McNeil, Tyleik Williams, and Aiden Hutchinson. That is the base of our pyramid. We have Jack Campbell. That is the point of our pyramid. He's the spearhead. And with those 4 players, we are able to control that box. Adding DJ Wonum, Ahmad Hassanin, Derek Moore, Peyton Turner, those are just accent guys. I wish we kept AQM, but we got priced out. He wanted more. He's got to think of himself and his family. I don't blame him. It's a business. You put a product on the field, you expect to be compensated. But, those are accent players. We have the core, we have the foundation, and we just need to minimize the damage with the bend but don't break philosophy, and then show up on key situations on 3rd down to get the defense off the field, get them some air, get them some water, let them rejuvenate their legs, let them rejuvenate their core so they can get back out at the next drive after we score.
So I just pulled up a few more stats here. I was trying to look for, pass coverage, dropping into I still didn't find what I'm looking for, but I'm gonna compare Jack and Devin a little bit because both played 17 games. Devin White had 1 interception. I could have sworn Jack had one last year. Maybe it wasn't last year. Devin White was targeted 91 times, and he gave up 70 completions for a 76.9 completion percentage and 475 yards. Jack Campbell was only targeted 62 times, 42 completions for a 67.7 completion percentage against 351 yards. So right there, I mean, you have a small difference where Jack Campbell was 9% better in completion percentage given up or completion percentage allowed. But Devin White was targeted 30 more times than Jack Campbell. So that tells me that he's dropping into coverage a little bit more than Jack. Yards per completion, Devin White only gave up 6.8. Jack Campbell gave up 8.4. Yards per target, Devin White gave up 5.2. Jack Campbell gave up 5.7. The ratings that they gave up in pass coverage, Devin White, 94.3. Jack Campbell, 98.3. Defensive ADOT, Devin White, 2.4. Jack Campbell, 4.7. And that's average depth of target. Air yards, Devin White gave up 174 to Jack Campbell's 139. Remember, there's 30 more targets in there. Yak, Devin White allowed 301 to Jack Campbell's 212. Again, 30 more targets. And almost 28 more completions. So those numbers are jiving for me. Devin White only had 2 hurries to Jack's 6. Devin White had 4 quarterback knockdowns to Jack Campbell's 1. Sacks, 2.5 for Devin, 5 for Jack. Pressures, 9 for Devin, 12 for Jack. So, I mean, real similar numbers. Here's the only defining number that will matter at all, and it's really not that bad. Devin White had 19 missed tackles last year to Jack's 7. So that is a 3.8 missed tackle percentage for Jack Campbell and a 9.8 missed tackle percentage for Devin White. Anything under 10%, I'll take anyway. But maybe that number becomes a little bit less. Maybe it doesn't. I feel like anything under 10% is good for me. We've seen players that, like Aiden at time has had a, 19 and 25 and 30% missed tackle rate. Those numbers have to drive down, and Aiden's been doing a lot better there too. Combined, look, this is such a huge move for Brad Holmes. I think it's being underplayed by the Detroit media or the toxic media that's out there. Not all Detroit media is toxic, but I think it's being underplayed, and they're undervaluing what Devin White's ability and effectiveness inside this defense can really be. Anyway, what's your final thoughts of the day?
My final thoughts are stats really only tell 1/3 of the story.
100%.
They answer the what happened. They don't talk about the why or the how it happened. And until you sit down, you watch the tape, and you understand positioning and player personnel and assignments and coverages, like there's a whole lot more into what the stats say they are versus the tape. So I just feel like there's a lot of misconception. I think Devin White was a huge signing as well. I think he may sign an extension at the end of the season, depending on how it goes for him, whether he gets hurt on the field or not. But I don't recall him ever having any kind of serious injury history. So,
you talking about Devin White?
Yeah.
I
think he could be here for another 2 years after this year.
I'm curious what the contract is. And
I believe he got 1 year for $3 million.
That is such a steal. I mean, that is such a steal.
Or it was like 3.2 or something like that. It was a 1 year deal, though.
So looking back at his previous contracts, he's made $46 million in the NFL already. Remember, he's only 28 years old. He's still pretty young. As a free agent with the Raiders, they paid him 1 year at 1.17 vet minimum. So he doubled up what he made from last year, and a lot more than that, which is great. Look, I think it's still a steal. But 1 year at 3, come on, Brad. Maybe, on the other side of that, maybe Devin White didn't want more than a 1 year deal because he's expecting to go have a bang up year this year playing with Detroit in this defense and the studs on this defense. It's going to elevate his game. You get better with the people around you. This 100%. This is probably a bad
chemistry and continuity.
Yeah, this is probably a bad analogy, but if you it's a terrible analogy, so don't judge me by this. I just don't have another good one in my brain right now. But if you're in a room full of people that aren't very bright, and that's what you grow up with, you're probably not going to be very bright, because you're not getting challenged. But if you're in a room full of people that are highly educated, that is probably going to drive you, or should drive you, to want to be more educated and to get smarter. And more than likely, it'll end up that way, right? So if you're in a room with a bunch of all pros and pro bowlers and guys that are, in the top of the league, 9-10 guys in the top 10 of ESPN's list, you're going to want to get better, and their game is going to elevate you because they're playing better. When you play around players that are really good, that means less mistakes. And if there's less mistakes, you're either going to be the guy that's out there sticking out like a sore thumb because you're making the mistakes, or you're just going to blend right in. I think that Devin White's going to blend right in. So it looks like we got another caller. I'm going to pick up this call, and Robbie, have a good day.
You as well, sir. Thank you for your time.
All right, brother. Take care. Thanks for calling the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Who do I got on the line?
Hello, this is Coach Gump. Did you get my message earlier?
Probably did. I play messages once a week, and I'll probably do that on Wednesday.
Well, anyway, what I wanted to talk about is that we all know that St. Brown's going to make the team. We know Jared Goff. How come the Lions just don't bubble wrap these people? Now Blake Miller's hurt and all this. Where's Anthony Lucas? We got no information on him. We need that kid to hit.
Anthony Lucas?
Yeah. He's got to make it. He's got to make the team.
Well, I think we're pretty. I think we're pretty deep there, but I don't know about him having to make the team.
You know that Richard Dent? He went late in the 8th round when he got picked by Chicago.
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, he got Richard Dent for the Chicago Bears. 85 Bears got picked in the 8th round. This kid's got all the talent to be able to be a really good football player. They need to be focusing on these players and helping them make it to their status.
I mean, I think that they do, but I want to walk back to something though. You said that Anthony Lucas has to make the team. So who's in front of him? Do you think that he can be better than?
I think he'd be just as good as Hutch, right below. I know this sounds crazy, but I think he could be right up there. A really good player. Have you ever played football? I mean, have you ever gone to practice? You know what I mean? I played football for a lot of years. And when you go to the next year, and everybody's waiting for the next player to show up, or who's going to show up that year. And the rest of you know everybody. And then somebody comes to the team and they go, oh, look at this guy. What's he think he's going to do? And by the time it was all over, we beat each other up.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the game, my whole front, I was the running back. The freaking whole front line was all, their knees and everything was all banged up. At some point, they really need to start putting people into bubble wrap. I mean, look at Blake Miller. He's already hurt.
Yeah, but we already know he's but he's not hurt. He just has a light leg strain. And to your point, yes, I played football, yes, and then I go to the practices often. I usually go to most of them. This year I'm not, but next year I'll be at all of them.
Look, why do we got Panay Sue out there banging heads?
Because you have to. You have to have these guys out there getting ready for the season.
You think he's going to be that much better if? I mean, they can do walkthroughs, can't they, with people like that? Can't they just say, okay, this guy's going to make it. Let's put him over here in this field. Laporta, we know he's going to make it. And all of a sudden, you just get the whole front team, and you're doing walkthroughs with the plays. You're not banging them. So now we actually got to help.
I think I would disagree there. I mean, one, I think it's important that you have to get Panay Sewell as many reps as possible because he's now at left tackle. He's not at right tackle anymore. He now has to learn and control his drop, his set, his anchor, everything up against Aiden Hutchinson and the other guys that he's going to be going up against. Anthony Lucas at times, right? He probably won't ever see Panay Sewell and Anthony Lucas lined up together, but I think that's the important takeaway is that he's now relearning to play left tackle, and so the rest of the offensive line has to learn how to play together. And I think that's the most important thing about playing early. This is just training camp. Like, your body has to get conditioned. You can't go into the season soft. And if you are not football hard, which you know what that means. I mean, if you go into a season soft and then you start taking some punishing blows on game day, you're going to get hurt. That body has to be punished a little bit.
How devastating would it be that we lost Penei Sewell? How devastating?
It would be devastating if we lost any of our starters, but I think that it's football and it's part of the game.
Don't you have to weigh the good and the bad of what, say, okay, this is a potential that we lose Penei. We really want to do that. Can we practice any way to get him ready? I mean, the guy is strong and he works out. He's not weak. The season, 18 games. You don't think by the time 18 games are through that we'll be lucky to see some of these people on the field?
Hey, it's every year, man. But I think that
I know, but they got to figure out a way. Listen, you got to be. Didn't you say you're smart if you hang out with smart people?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Okay, so if the saying about insanity is you repeat the same things and get the same results. So last year's results of everybody injured can't do the same thing, and then they're not doing the same thing, but they are, and then they're not, right?
Well, they're not.
These seasons are long.
They're not. They're not doing the same things. So what I was going to say, hold on a second, buddy. What I was going to say is they're not doing the same things year in and year out. Dan Campbell has totally changed everything this year, but I understand your point. The definition of insanity is, you continually do the same things, you get the same result. That is the definition of insanity. But unfortunately, in the NFL, this is their time to learn each other. This is their time to put pen to paper. This is their time to figure out who's working. We already know, that the 40 of these guys that are going to make this team, but you can't practice with 50. You can't get better. You can't sharpen iron, with a Brillo pad. You need your guys out there to make sure everybody else is, up to the snuff, right? They have to get high competition out there to make those players better.
You don't think Penei Sewell's up to snuff?
No, of course he is, but he's also playing left tackle this year, so he's got a change. Everything's changed. Jared Goff has to learn and feel him again. He's on his left side now. He's not on his right side. Penei has to get comfortable, and we've already heard the reports from Penei and from others that there's going to be good days and bad days. The pads just came on, so we don't even know what bad days he's going to see yet. We'll find out today.
I come at a different perspective. I used to run 100 miles a week. I used to train for a marathon. I didn't pull no muscles. I didn't pull Achilles. I was strong. As far as running, I was in shape. I could have got on the football field and ran around everybody in circles all day long without stopping. I was in shape.
Can I throw? Let me throw an interjection. Let me throw an interjection into that. I'm not discrediting what you do or have done or whatever, but there's a difference between running in a straight line for long distance in a casual gallop versus cutting, right? Stopping, starting. You know what I mean? Like
that was no casual gabble. I ran.
That's fine. You're running, but you're not stopping, starting, cutting, right? And that's where the Achilles happens. When you stop, start, and cut, you're putting all that stress on the Achilles or the patella or the MCL or the ACL. That's where the injuries happen. And you're also digging into turf, not concrete. Your foot moves. So I think there's a big difference there. But I do understand what you're saying. Like, there's a difference between today and 20 years ago. Like, injuries are different today, and you get a lot of soft tissue injuries, a lot of ligamental injuries. Go ahead.
Okay. Have you ever ran 100 miles a week?
No.
Or get in a pool and swim for 4 hours straight to the point freestyle when you pull out yourself out of the body, your body's just shaking because we're uncontrollable. I mean, you're in so good of shape. You almost can go through the ringer. I don't think some of these players are that in good of shape. Not to where they'd probably want me to, if they brought me in and said, "Oh, let's get these guys in shape," I'd look at them and say, "Oh, you really want them in shape, huh?"
Well, there's football shape and then there's practice shape, right?
Well, these people make a lot of money, and I just don't think they're not. I mean, they're big boys, they're carrying a lot of weight, you know what I mean. But the younger, the skinnier, the ones like Tesla, he's over there with 3 people on him, and they're defending. Man, I hate to see him go down because they want to figure out what he's got.
Oh, sorry about
Does
that.
Does that make any sense? Why would we want to put 3 people on Tesla that close and get him injured?
I think your injuries.
I think they need the bubble wrap program. You can bubble wrap them a little bit and then take the bubble wrap off. But you know what I mean. Put him out there a little bit and see. Okay, they got it. We got the walk-in. We got the bubble wrap field over here. They're going through the place. Okay, first preseason. Okay, we got some competition. Let's unleash the beast. Let's just beat up the other players on the other team.
So let me ask you a question. You're obviously old school, right?
That's right.
Okay, so I'm also a little bit old school, maybe a little bit younger old school than you. But when I played, and I played 5 sports, right? Played semi-pro baseball. When I played, you practice like you play. If you don't practice like you play, when you come up to game day, what's going to happen? You're going to play like shit.
Baseball's different.
And so you have to practice like you play. Now the Lions don't need to go 100 miles an hour with full hitting and contact, but they need to be out there practicing like they're going to play, and then have them pull up a little bit. But at the same time, I'll contradict myself here. When players start to pull up, injuries happen. So you're either going to go all the way through it or you're not.
Well, we had this coach, his name was Stribley, and this guy was mean. And everybody goes, "You're going to go, you guys got Stribley next year." And I was like, man, everybody says this guy's mean out there. Shoot, he'd make us crab through pickers. And then if you got up, you had to go do it again. And we'd have pickers in our hands, and we'd be on the ground. And it was horrible. But he pushed it so hard, I'm not kidding.
That's crazy.
Huh?
That's crazy.
Oh, we were supposed to love it, though. We weren't supposed to be weak, and these people out here, these practices, I'm looking up thinking, gosh, they don't even get to go through Coach Stribley. They get paid how much money? That was fast. I was good, but by the time my offensive line was, I scored 3 touchdowns a game. I'd be coming through the line. The line was still on the ground, getting their stance. And I'd be going through. I was quick, and I didn't have to keep on practice and know that I wasn't any good. I just need someone to block.
All right, so I think they
were all banged up by the time we went to the playoffs.
So I think your take of the day is you want to see the Lions go a little bit lighter.
I want more discovery on people like Anthony Lucas and that McLaughlin. How could that McLaughlin be behind Cade Base and he played center for Ohio State and stuff? You trying to tell me that kid ain't that good?
Oh, McLaughlin. You're talking about Seth McLaughlin? No, look, I like Seth McLaughlin. I think to the fact that he got injured in his final season at Ohio State. And that's what put him down the depth chart, and so he has not been able to kind of get back to where he was, in college. So he
don't get no reps.
Well, I mean, you got to earn them, right? You got to earn them on this team. You got to earn them on every team. And right now, look, Cade Mays is one of the top centers in the league. If you look at all the statistics that I mentioned this morning, quite simply, you can't look at another center and say that they played 20 straight games learning the game of center and didn't give up any sacks, gave up 14 pressures. Like, that's insanely good play out of a guy that's just learning. That means his ceiling is incredibly high, and he's done it at the NFL level. Seth McLaughlin has not done it at the NFL level yet. He did it at Ohio State. He was really good, but he just didn't work out yet. But maybe as he gets healthier and gets an opportunity, he can earn another spot. But that's why they brought in Juice Scruggs. So we'll see where that goes.
That's what I'm saying is, why don't you bubble wrap? Okay, Cade May, we know he's good at center. And so you put him over there in the bubble wrap field. Then you say, okay, hey, Seth, come on over here. You're going to go through hell. It ain't going to be Coach Stribley, but you're going to go through it because the fans, the coaches, the owners, they want you to go through hell because we want to see if you got what it takes. You ever watch those commercials? Do you got what it takes? You know,
maybe.
What?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
No, really. But this is football practice. It's not, baseball practice. Let them go through it.
I got you. All right, man. I appreciate the call.
I'm coming from the point where I used to bull ride. We're actually in the rodeo, and the only way to get good at bull riding is get on that bull.
Well, I think you just that's the same way in
Yeah,
football, man. The only way to get better is to get out there and play.
The good bull riders, you don't put them on you only put them for the feature events. You don't sit there. Me, throw me in the ringer. Let's go.
I got you, buddy.
But
I appreciate the call. I'm going to answer the rest of it off air, man. Have a good day.
Get some more information on Anthony Lucas, please.
Yeah.
And don't forget to bring your binoculars to the thing, because those Leopold binoculars, you can see it. You can see the mouthpiece get knocked out of them.
Oh yeah.
On the ground.
No, I have those, and I have some special glasses that I wear. I've got some other things that I'll be bringing here in a couple of days.
Can you get some feedback on Anthony Lucas? Just take a look at him.
When I get out there, but I'm sure that the rest of the reporters will out there, that are out there will do it too.
Can you do a comparison with Richard Dent and Anthony Lucas as they came into rookie? Can you do that? I know it sounds.
I can try, but we're talking 85 versus 2026. It's a big difference.
I know, but you're looking at Anthony Lucas and Richard Dent. That's all we want to do. A comparison.
I got you, brother.
Is he really that good? Do you think Anthony Lucas is good?
I'll let you know here in a minute. I got to get running, man. Have a good day.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. So I think what he was trying to say there is he really likes Anthony Lucas. And look, I think Anthony Lucas is a great pickup. It's early in practice. We just got pads on. Like this, if you listen to Dan Campbell this morning, this is where he said that the players are going to start to separate themselves in the next week. And that's what I mentioned, last week. Is once the pad comes on, you get through the next week or so, and it's going to be different. Players are going to start, the cream rises to the top. Players are going to, really show themselves. I don't believe you can just bubble wrap players. I have to disagree with you on that, because you practice like you play. If you don't practice hard, then that means the output during the season is not going to be great. And I get it. You don't want players injured. But if you look at every team in the NFL right now, every single team is going through this. 22 minutes ago, Dalton Kincaid left training camp with an apparent injury. It's the same thing, in Detroit. So every player and every team is going to go through the same thing. There's going to be injuries. It's 100% injury rate. You can't go out there and just, to use your term, bubble wrap your 25 starters, including offense, defense, and your special team starters, and then just hope that the rest of the team gets better. I don't want second, third, and fourth stringers playing against each other, and that's your team. You're not going to be able to see the comprehension of the scheme. You're not going to be able to do the installs. You can do walkthroughs, but you have to do full speed. If you're not running full speed, you can't get your landmarks right. You can't get your timing down. Penei Sewell has to, again, he is the best tackle in the league, but he hasn't played left tackle more than 40, 50 snaps in the NFL. Or something close to that. And that was in 2021. He needs more work at left tackle. I mean, there is a defined difference between playing right and left. You have to get your legs underneath you. Learning the drop step and the anchor all over again is, it's not easy. But for a guy like Penei Sewell that knows what he's doing, he's going to get it. And he's going to be just fine. But there is an inherent responsibility of this, team, and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and Drew Petzing and Hank Fraley and everybody else out there to make sure that this team is ready. And the only way you're going to know and feel and that you're ready is if the guys are out there working and you see it. And then you have the game film or the practice film to go break down. You can't take practice film from a walkthrough and then break it down and go into practice the next day and say, this is what we need to fix. what they would say is this is what we need to fix on a walkthrough. But how do you know at full speed? There's like dozens and dozens of cameras out there. If you've never been to the training camp, there's cameras everywhere. They have these big, high cameras up on these giant poles, these extension rigs, and they got full 360 view, and they've got multiple of them. And that's what they use after practice. They go and they cut up the film, and then they look at what they're doing. Without that, I don't think that you can evaluate the team and get it ready. I understand where a lot of Lions fans have been over the last couple of seasons, and I think that Dan Campbell made a very big change this year. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? What did he say that he was going to do this offseason or was doing this offseason that he hasn't done before? He said that he's always going 100%. He's always training in the offseason, and this offseason he took time off. He didn't practice every day. What if Amon-Ra St. Brown has a rough season this year? Are we going to go back and point the fingers at Dan Campbell, or are you going to point the fingers at Amon-Ra St. Brown because he didn't do his offseason workout the way that he always did? He changed it. Well, everything that he was doing, remember, the definition of insanity is you get the same results. Well, that's only if you don't like those results. But what if the results are good? If the results are you're a top 5 receiver in the league, then why did you change what you were doing in the offseason? So I understand and I appreciate and thank you for the call. But I do have to disagree that this team has to play, and they have to play their elite players to understand where the development needs to be. And when players like Anthony Lucas that, are UDFA, not drafted, it wasn't just the Lions that passed, it was 31 other NFL teams that passed up on this guy. There's a reason for it. There's a lot of development left there. Maybe he ends up on the practice squad. Maybe he pops in practice this week. Maybe. I don't know what the, connection is with the caller and Anthony Lucas, but I think that in the very beginning, a lot of us liked the fact that we brought in Anthony Lucas. I did watch some of his highlights. I didn't dig into all of his film. And I did like what I saw. But you've got Ahmed Hassanin out there balling out of control right now. Aiden Hutchinson's not going anywhere. We brought in DJ Wanham and Peyton Turner. I mean, Peyton Turner's a little banged up right now. So, he's fighting for a spot. Anthony Lucas, he's behind Wanham, Moore, Hassanin, and then there's Anthony Lucas. On the other side, you have Aiden, Turner, West, and O'Neal. So you have eight defensive ends before you even get into the two-way players. And right now, Lacey is the one that has been out there at the defensive end position. That has to tell you something. He's playing big time out there. So right now, Anthony Lucas is probably the 8th, 9th, or 10th guy in the depth chart. And every season, if I pull up my 53-man list, I got to find it here real quick. If I look at my 53-man breakdown from every year, last season, the Lions kept Aiden Hutchinson, Al-Quadin Muhammad, Marcus Davenport, Tyrus Wheat, and Tyler Lacey. They kept 5. Some seasons, let's go back to 24, they kept Kaminsky, Hutchinson, Davenport, Pascal, and Houston. That's 5. But I think Kaminsky was hurt that year, and they kept him, and then I think something happened, if memory serves me right. They kept him, and then they released him or IR'd him or something. So I think that was all done for roster gymnastics. But they kept 5 that year. Go back to 2023. You had Hutchinson, Kaminsky, Aquara, Harris, Pascal, James Houston, and Aquara. And that was a prediction. Hold on. That wasn't actual. Hold on. But I think when you look at it, let's just say the average is 5. Let's say the average is 5 for the defensive line or defensive ends. When you have a guy like Tyler Lacey that is now playing inside out, that is going to limit a UDFA even having a shot. and he's a UDFA. He's going to have a lot of development left in front of him. Doesn't mean that he won't ever make a roster. Doesn't mean that he won't develop, but it could be a couple of seasons. You have to roll into the season with the best 5 or 6 guys on your roster. And right now, the Lions have a log jam. Turner has an uphill battle, like I just said, because he's missed time. Wanham's going to make it. Moore, he's banged up right now. Should be back in a week. He's going to make it. Hassanine right now is playing out of control. He's going to make it most likely. Aiden, and as long as he continues to play well, Aiden Hutchinson's going to make it. That's 4. Wanham, Moore, Hassanine, Aiden, Lacey. That's 5. So now the rest of them that are battling for a spot, Peyton Turner, Tyree West, Eric O'Neill, Anthony Lucas. It's going to be pretty tough to make this roster. So it's all going to bank on health and opportunity right now. And we just hope that everyone stays healthy. I'd rather have everyone stay healthy and Anthony Lucas not make the roster if he's not as good as the other guys, because that means everyone else is healthy, right? We don't want opportunity to happen just because someone got injured. Like, that's the last thing that we want. I understand this has been a very contested subject with how the Lions practice and having injuries, but I think as fans, we have to settle down a little bit because every team is dealing with injuries. Every team is dealing with training camp injuries. Every team that has won a Super Bowl is out there practicing just the same way the Lions are. But Dan Campbell made a concerted effort this year to kind of slow down a little bit, right? They're doing things different. You know, maybe they're not going to hit as much or as often. Maybe they're going to give the guys more breaks. I mean, they took time off in the offseason. I don't know how much more we want to ask of this team not to get ready, but I want the team ready. I want the bodies hardened. I want the players understanding the scheme and really being able to play fast. So I'm good with what's happening right now. We can't do anything about the injuries. Matter of fact, I'm trying to find a full report. And I don't know why it's not popping up. I don't have the portal open. I don't know if there's even anything there. Mike McCarthy has a no-hitting policy. Where is Mike McCarthy now? Pittsburgh? Yeah, he's with Pittsburgh. How many Super Bowls has Mike McCarthy won? One. And that was in 2011 with the Packers. He's won 1. Gaviscon says, "Go 100%, guys get hurt. Go 60%. It's a long season. The boys will get there." Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go 60%. I don't even know how that would operate. By 60%, maybe less hitting drills. I haven't seen any hitting drills yet in practice. Pads just came on today, so we'll know what type of hitting drills. It's not like they're lining them up out there and doing one-on-ones in pads. Oh, what was that one drill called? Was it not the gauntlet? What was the one drill where we used to lay on our backs? Both of us, or one of us had a ball, and neither of us knew who was going to have the ball, right? So the coach would come up, you get on your backs, You'd have two coaches on either side. One coach would hand one person the ball. The other person wouldn't know. And as soon as you were handed the ball, they would say, go. And we had to jump up, turn and face each other. I knew when I had the ball, obviously. And then you had to read, react, and hit, right? And tackle each other. I forget what that drill was called. It was the Oklahoma drill, or very similar to the Oklahoma drill. It's not like they're out there doing that, right? That's a pretty rough drill. I got crushed on one time. One play. I got picked up and then turned around and like body slammed on my head. That was probably concussion number 1. I'm waiting for this report to come through. But anyway, news around the league right now. Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid left training camp today with what has appeared to be a leg injury. He went down near the middle of the field. He went to one, maybe it wasn't a leg injury. He went to one knee, got up and walked off, limped alongside members of the training team. Yeah, it is a leg injury. I mean, that could be bad. Let's see here. Linebacker Jake Golday is standing out in drills already for the Vikings. And he was one of my favorite linebackers in this draft. I think the Lions are going to be just fine, though. I'm not finding the injury report. Where the hell is the injury report? All right, take a brief break, then we're going to wrap it up. Be right back. I'll get this injury report up.
Middle caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked. Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo, angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again!
I like it. You know, it's hard not to like when we got so many playmakers. He knows what he's doing, spreading it out well. So you know, like I said earlier, one play from one person could help the whole team. So it's just like we just got to go out there and execute. He's doing his job real well though. We are, and we all help each other though.
J-Mo, watching you out there at practice today, I was kind of taken back to when you first walked out on the field here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like your first training camp?
Yeah.
It felt very distant from what we see from you now. How different of a player, a person, everything do you feel and a teammate?
I feel like I've grown a lot, you know, just with age and, you know, grown with the game, matured a lot. It's just part of the game, though, I would say. Day by day, I've been trying to get better. Like I said, stack days. I just want to work my way to being, and my ending goal being a top receiver.
We've seen you make a lot of hands catches out here, like just snatch the ball in the air. It's something that Dan references, one of the areas where you've improved a couple days ago. How much of a focus was that for you this offseason?
You know, it was a daily focus. I'd catch the ball every day. I was catching balls every day. So I was just focusing in on. I just want to be like the receiver. No matter where it's at, I gotta catch it. No matter if it's I just gotta go catch it. So that's what I've been working on really. I don't want no mishaps or nothing. No matter where the ball at, I'm just trying to go catch it. So that was my main thing on working on the catches.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say, saw you chopping it up with Gibbs, you know, during that one special teams period. What's it like to have him at least back out here watching?
Oh, it's good, man. You know, cause he the best of the best, and you know, hopefully, coming up we get to see my boy, you know, get something done, so he could be back out here with us in his jersey and stuff. So, you know, I'm really excited for him. I know what he could do for us, and I know what he could do for himself and his team. You know, he's a real great player. I think one of the best in this league.
Love it, J-Mo.
As he goes through this?
Any advice? I don't know. I don't know. Like we probably in two different situations. You know, his is different. He like the best player in the NFL. So like,
wow. You said you wanted to be considered one of the top receivers in the game. You have had back-to-back 1,000-yard season. What is it going to take in your mind to be kind of one of those guys that you think are, you know, the 10 best receivers?
You know, more of that, a lot more of that. You know, I just got to, like I said, got to keep stacking, keep getting better every day. You know, I can't worry about what everybody else got going on. It's just focusing on me and my team.
From a confidence standpoint, how much did last season help you? I mean, because again, first half of the season, you were getting as many targets, but then, you know, Dan takes over and you start, you know, really coming through when they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And how much did that really kind of, the whole season and how it played out kind of really help you from a confidence?
You know, I just had to stay down and stay focused. Like you said, it was games where I had 0 catches, 0 targets, but that don't be on my mind. You know, after the day, I'd be past that because, you know, we most likely got to win that game. So, you know, can't be mad over it too long. But I just stayed down and stayed focused. I knew my time was going to come, and I knew, like, what I was going to do when my time come, because when my time come, it's like the ball is in my hands, and I know how to control it. So, you know, it really wasn't that hard. I just got to stay down and stay focused. It's everything, same thing I've been doing my whole life.
And also just from like a standpoint of the production, it's been a linear growth pattern. I mean, like every year you're producing more. You just talk about also what that means to you, I guess, from, you know, where it could possibly go, I guess.
I don't know how to answer that. Where it could possibly go, I think it, you know, I just try to focus on, like I said, stacking, getting better every day. So I guess it can go up and up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, J-Mo, should Janier be the highest paid running back?
Yeah, of course, no question. He the best. You know, like look, I wouldn't even say look at the stats, look at the film. Nobody close. He the best.
What does he mean to this team in this offense?
A lot. When 0 get on the field, it's like it's game changing for us, because like to me he unstoppable. Like he get through the line of scrimmage, he goes 70. Get through the line of scrimmage, make somebody miss. Like it's just I love playing with him. I love watching him. Like he got one of the best games I ever seen.
You two race yet?
Nah.
It's gonna happen.
I don't know. I don't think we need the race.
Jimmy, when you see the fans out here in practice, what kind of dynamic does that add? Hearing them kind of, oohing on out there?
It bring a boost to us. I know some guys like putting on the show for the fans. These fans die hard Detroit Lions fans. So, that's what we come out here for. We come out here to work and put on a show for them. They love this team. They embrace the team. We embrace them. It's kind of like a love relationship. We go out here and put on a show for them. And they come out here and, have fun.
Ready for pads?
Pads, yeah, I think that's tomorrow. Y'all gonna be out here? Watch me.
Okay.
I love it, man. J-Mo is such a different dude this year. Again, I got to tip my hat off to him. He's really grown, maturity-wise and everything. Unfortunately, not for everybody, though. Not for everybody that is either covering the Lions fan, Lions content creator. Some people just don't grow up. They just don't. But J-Mo, he's grown up. And I'm excited for what he's going to be able to provide this year. And I like what he said. There's a couple of things that he said. One took me back a little bit, but the fact that he said he wants to continue to compete to be a top wide receiver in the league, that means he doesn't believe that he is yet. And I really wholeheartedly appreciate that, because that means he's continually going to work to be better. You can't discredit the dude's love for the game. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He's always energetic. There's never a dull or a down moment. He's infectious, in the locker room, but just a great teammate overall. And he's really grown. Like, he didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be in Detroit when he was drafted. Absolutely not. But now he's seen the other side, right? So where I see, I'll make the comparison to some of the SOL fans, the unsufferable, I guess. The fans that just can't ever have anything good to say about the Lions, no matter what. Well, Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't want to be here. He told you all that. J-Mo, you could tell, didn't want to be here. I don't know if he's ever verbally said it, but you could kind of tell. Like, oh, shit, I'm going to the Lions. The team that's losing, right? Team that's not very good. But now look at how these players have surrounded themselves around this city and love the city of Detroit and love to be in Detroit, love the team, and look how good the team is now. Why does it take so long for all of the unsufferable, I guess we'll call them, that just can't shake the bad years prior to this? I've been a fan for over, 42 years. I went to my first game when I was 4. I was on the field with Gary Danielson and Billy Sims. I mean, those are my first memories from pictures, right? I don't remember that at 4 years old, but at pictures, right? And my dad actually talked about it yesterday at training camp. I was always the pessimist. I was always, the fan that was like, okay, it's just another year. Everyone's thinking we're going to do something because of the draft. And I mean, that was our Super Bowl every year. And yeah, I just never, I enjoyed the great games with Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford and Golden Tate and Barry Sanders. I mean, and all the other greats that have walked through Detroit. But this is different. This isn't the same old Lions. Like, it's time to just put that in a box, compartmentalize it, put it away, and just, why not support the team? Why not say good things, right? Because you just heard what J-Mo said when the fans are out there and they're oohing and on and pumping you up a little bit. Imagine what your words could do on social media. Because it can either go one way or the other. It can either be toxic and infectious and piss people off and make people angry and actually make them worse, or it can make them better, right? If they feel the love, it's going to make them better. When you feel loved, you feel better, right? So, I don't know. Maybe take a bite out of J-Mo's playbook and just grow up a little bit. Maybe give the team a chance. Maybe. All right, I think I'm gonna finish with a league-wide report. I finally was able to pull one here, and I think the biggest headlines right now is you have Carolina lost their rookie Chris Brassel and Nick Scorton Season-ending knee injuries. Scored second-year edge rusher. New Orleans starting defensive tackle Brian Bresee, torn ACL. San Francisco lost Ricky Pearsall. He had surgery on a torn PCL. Arizona placed tackles PJ Mustafer and defensive back Jaden Davis on IR. Derek Moore, obviously, for the Lions right now, has a groin strain. He'll be out several days. Shouldn't be long-term. Jimmy Rolder, fourth-round pick for the Lions this year. Hamstring injury is expected to miss an extended period, probably 4 to 6 weeks, unless it's not severe. I don't know what the grade is, 1, 2, or 3. If it's a grade 3, that'd be a tear and full tear, and he's going to be out for a while. So if it's grade 2, then, yeah, it could be several weeks. And if it's grade 1... I mean, that would be much better, right? It could be a few weeks. Miles Kitselman, undrafted rookie tight end, suffered a leg injury, is expected to miss some significant time. Gabe Yakis for the Patriots. He opened camp on the NFI list, but has since returned. Romello Height for the 49ers, edge rusher. He was carted off the practice field because of cramping, but he did avoid a serious injury diagnosis. Buffalo Bills safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson suffered an apparent right lower leg injury. He was also carted off to the locker room, but was later indicated to be okay. Wide receiver Tyrell Shavers opened camp on active PUP. Buffalo had no opening NFI or injured reserve designation listed in the league tracker, so that's good news. Miami Dolphins cornerback Darrell Baker Jr. and Storm Duck opened the camp on PUP. Wide receiver Chris Bell opened on NFI, while offensive tackle Carter Warren was placed on IR. Tank Dell is not on PUP, but remains on a controlled return plan after his knee injury from 2024. New England tight end C.J. Dupree and edge defender Harold Landry III opened up on PUP. Running back Terrell Jennings and special teamer Brendan Schooler opened on NFI, while tight end Julian Hill was listed on IR. Rookie, again, Gabe Yakis has since been activated from NFI. New York Jets, edge defender Tyler Barron and Joseph Osai are on PUP. Defensive tackle Trevonde Sweat opened on NFI, and linebacker Kobe King is on IR. Rookie corner D'Angelo Pons from this year's draft has a calf strain, but was not placed on any injury list. Wide receiver Tim Patrick has been activated from PUP and returned to the active roster. So, I mean, you guys are getting the picture, right? Like, every team has something. Baltimore Ravens defensive lineman Travis Jones, John Jenkins, linebacker Teddy Buchanan, edge defender Adisa Isaac, and corner Bilal Cohn opened the camp on PUP. Nnamdi Madubuike I butchered his name, has been removed from PUP after recovering from a serious neck injury and second surgery. He's working his way through individuals. Should be back soon. Cincinnati Bengals, who we're going to see here shortly. Defensive tackle BJ Hill opened the camp on PUP. Tight end Josh Cadis opened up on NFI. They have no player listed on IR. They might be one of the healthiest. Cleveland Browns defensive tackle Malik Collins opened up on PUP. They have no NFI, no IR. Pittsburgh Steelers, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., Dante Kent opened up on PUP. Defensive back Daquan Hardy placed on IR. Ramsey has a knee injury that he suffered in minicamp. They do not expect surgery, and they're protecting a return in several weeks, or projected a return in several weeks. Offensive tackle Broderick Jones has been cleared following a neck injury that ended his 25 season. Down to the AFC South, Houston Texans linebacker E.J. Speed and defensive back M.J. Stewart opened the camp on PUP. They have no NFI or IR. The Colts linebacker C.J. Allen, wide receiver Alec Pierce opened the camp on PUP. Zaire Franklin has returned to practice following offseason ankle surgery. The Jacksonville Jaguars did not have a complete opening PUP NFI list populated in the league tracker, but during day 4, linebacker Jack Kaiser and offensive lineman Cole Van Lannen and Garrett DiGiorgio did not practice. Tennessee Titans offensive tackle J.C. Latham and safety Amane Hooker open camp on PUP. That was the extent of their list. AFC West Denver Broncos offensive lineman Nick Gargiulo opened on PUP. Linebacker Jordan Turner placed on NFI. Guard Ben Powers returning from offseason surgery. No other major news for the Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs tight end John Michael Gillenborg and defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott opened up on PUP. Defensive ends Ethan Downs and Ashton Gillott have been sidelined by injuries. Kansas City is prompted now to add another edge defender. Xavier Worthy has been managed because of a shoulder issue. And Patrick Mahomes' rehab has progressed well enough for normal camp activity, but my God, does he look terrible. He looks absolutely atrocious. He was throwing the ball into the back of his lineman head yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I was going to show you guys the video, but I don't have it right now. Los Angeles Chargers, no major PUP, NFI, or IR. Tui Tuipulotu has worked on the side with a helmet despite being medically cleared. So there's slow ramp up with Tuli. NFC East, Dallas Cowboys, Matt Hennessy placed on IR before camp. Dallas does not have any other significant injuries listed as of this list right now. New York Giants, defensive lineman Roy Robertson Harris opened up on PUP. Defensive backs Thaddeus Dixon, Rico Payton, receiver Gunnar Olazewski were all placed on IR. Defensive lineman CJ Ravenel was waived with an NFI designation. No other injury news there. Philadelphia Eagles edge defender Jonathan Greenard opened up on PUP. Offensive tackle Cameron Williams has a knee contusion, and safety Cole Wisniewski is managing a hamstring injury. Both listed as minor. Washington Commanders Dorrance Armstrong, Trey Amos, and Dietrich Wise Jr. opened up on PUP. Fred Davis II opened up on NFI. Kane Medrano has been activated from PUP, and their punter Tress Way is dealing with a pectoral injury, while the center Nick Allegretti has a calf issue. Washington expects Nick Allegretti back relatively soon. NFC North. Chicago Bears, we do have some updates for today. Chicago Bears, Keyshawn Elliott, Kyler Gordon, Elijah Hicks, Noah Sewell, Ozzie Trapillo, and Shamar Turner all opened on PUP. TJ Edwards opened up on NFI. Running back, Kyle Monangai has missed several practices with a soft tissue injury. Ben Johnson described him as day-to-day. So there you go. I mean, they opened up with a lot more than we did. Lions, Branch, Kirby, Conklin still remain on active PUP. Kendrick Law is on IR. Derek Moore, the groin injury. Jimmy Roller, hamstring injury. Miles Kitzelman, leg injury. Blake Miller, limited on Sunday, but is expected to fully return. Lee McNeil returned. Christian Izzian returned. And then from today, Lawrence Keys, Anthony Fursker, and Sione Vaki all left practice early. Sione Vaki was poked in the eye. Put on a shield, my guy. But Lawrence Keys, Anthony Fursker both suffered some sort of a leg injury. So overall injury thing for the Lions here, I mean, not much has changed. I mean, outside of Moore having the groin, Roller having the hamstring, that doesn't affect really the starting 25 yet. It does affect the depth chart. But Branch and Kirby and Conklin still working back from PUP. That hasn't changed. Ali McNeil's back is great. Christian Izzian finally getting back in, the roles yesterday, back in his role yesterday. That's great. So we have some coming in, some kind of coming out. It's happening everywhere. Green Bay Packers. They open up camp with Aaron Banks, Brant Banks, Kamal Hayden, Javon Hargrave, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Matt Osterick, Micah Parsons, Jordan Riley, and Nazir Stackhouse all on PUP. Running back Christopher Brooks opened on NFI. I mean, that's a lot of players, yo. That's a lot of players. Minnesota Vikings. Running back Keyshawn Owens opened up on NFI. They had no other major PUP IR moves that I've noticed. NFC South, Atlanta Falcons, Troy Anderson, Billy Bowman Jr., D'Angelo Malone, Storm Norton, and Juwan Taylor opened up on PUP. Zach Harrison and Antario Thompson opened on NFI. Atlanta did release quarterback Trevor Siemian with an injury settlement. Carolina Panthers, Season ending. We talked about this earlier. Chris Braswell. He's undergoing LCL surgery. Nick Scorton previously suffered a torn ACL. Ikem Awanu and Tershawn Wharton opened up on PUP. Bobby Brown III. Taylor Moton opened up on NFI. JC Horn has since been activated, recovering from a cut that required stitches. New Orleans Saints starting defensive tackle Brian Bursey. He's out for the season with a torn ACL. Defensive tackle Keyshawn Silver and receiver Mason Tipton opened up on PUP. Receiver Jalen Polk retired during camp, but reporting indicates his decision was personal and not caused by a new injury. That's crazy. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive back Chase Lucas and defensive tackle Hagi Chisholm Babusi. Sorry, guy. Opened the training camp on PUP. No additional information. Arizona Cardinals, Josh Sweat, Garrett Williams, Tip Reedman opened on PUP. Defensive tackle Caleb Proctor was placed on IR. Man, that sucks. Really wanted to see Caleb Proctor this year. PJ Mustipher suffered a foot injury, placed on IR. Defensive back Jaden Davis was also placed on IR. Joey Blunt is undergoing additional testing after a neck stinger. Walt Nolan is progressing from his knee injury and is expected to be available by the Hall of Fame game. Three more teams to go. Number 30 here, Los Angeles Rams. Defensive back Zian Hamilton opened on PUP. Guard Justin Diedick opened on NFI. Linebacker Eddie Walls III placed on IR. Myles Garrett has missed 4 practices in a row with a lower body soreness. Sean McVay has described the issue as precautionary, and Garrett is expected back during the next practice block. Byron Young continues to have his knee workload managed. I'm going to say it again, because I said it last year about Micah Parsons, and I never want to wish any injury on anybody. You trade for these big-name guys, and when you have an injury, everything collapses. Micah Parsons went down last year, and that may have ruined the Packers season. I don't think they had enough anyway. Well, what happens if this is more than just soreness for Myles Garrett? I mean, there's no indication here that there's been any MRI that has been conclusive of any tears or anything else going on with this lower body soreness. We'll see where it develops, right? We'll see where it develops. I'd rather see Myles Garrett play. San Francisco 49ers, Ricky Pearsall will miss the year after surgery to repair a torn PCL. George Kittle, Michael Williams, Isaac Garando, and Alfred Collins open on PUP. Defensive back Derek Forrest open on IR. The edge room has been further depleted as Keon White's adductor injury, Cameron Sample's knee issue, and injuries to Mikal Kamara and rookie Romello Height. Nick Bosa is cleared, but gradually increasing his work after an ACL rehab. San Francisco starting off once again, very, very injured team. Seattle Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet, Nick Emenawari, Kenny McIntosh, Tyron Broden, and Devin Eastern opened up on PUP. Charbonnet recovering from the ACL last year, suffered during the 2025 postseason. And that's it. That is the up-to-the-minute information that I have. Doesn't mean that it hasn't changed since I read it. And that's it. That's a 3-hour show. And it'll be the longest one of the week. I can promise you that. We'll be back tonight for camp updates. I may do it in a video as opposed to a live, but I'll probably premiere it if I do. But pay attention to your notifications. Please turn notifications on. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you love all the information about your Detroit Lions and you know where the right place is to be, which is right here, truth, honesty, and transparency is all we try to do here at Rock That Detroit Lions. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Please subscribe. Please turn on notifications. You don't get a bunch of spam. Pay attention to the posts. I will give you guys as much information as I can when I'm at camp with posts. And then afterwards, I will give you the full updates. When I'm not at camp, I will do the full updates every afternoon and sometimes into the evening. And this week, Wednesday, I'm going to aim for voicemails. So we've had a few already. Keep pouring in the voicemails. I will put them together for Wednesday. We'll talk about it on Wednesday and kind of go through what but it's kind of like the mailbag, right? Emails, voicemails. I'm going to review them Tuesday night. We'll go through them on Wednesday in the morning. That's it for today. You guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy camp as much as you can, right? This is fun. We're starting to learn our team, the developments. Each and every day they change. Players are going to get injured. Players are going to get bumps and bruises, man. Pats came on today. I think that we're pretty lucky that we only had 3 players exit practice today. And so far, they don't look severe. I mean, Sione Vaki got poked in the eye. I don't know why he doesn't have a clear shield on anyway. I think that every player that is an offensive weapon should have a clear shield on during camp. Whether you play with one in the season or not, who cares? But at least have the damn shield on so that you don't get poked in the eye, right? Or get dirt in the eye. That could be just as bad. All right, you guys have been great. We'll see you guys later on today. Take care.